Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Captain Quasar, and welcome back to another live stream. Um, we are going to be reacting to one video and one video only today, and that is why I don't watch Hasanabi anymore. I kind of skimmed it a little bit, just checking it out, make sure there's some substance there. And honestly, it seems very well put together. I think from one of the parts I saw, she has where is it? Free Tibet. She made a Tibet video, and I was thinking I might watch that at some point because she seems to know her stuff. So, we're gonna get started in just a second. I do want to kind of send out a message onto the Discord for members. Become a member for access. Become a first tier member for access to members content. I do it seldomly. I'm trying to do more. Just need to think up good members content. I have a good stream that's going to come up on Tuesday that I might turn into a members stream. We'll see. But I have some other stuff coming up. But we have a private Discords for the second tier of members. And it's not used too much, but it's a good place to share videos or other things that you think might be good content for me to see. So giving myself a little shout out right now while there's nobody in here. Let some people pile in for a second while I talk to myself. Good morning all. Leave a like and follow. Thank you, Pink Sigil. Hey Captain, I think Alex got me sick. LOL. I feel like shit today. You know, I'm super congested. I think it's just the weather. I don't think I'm sick. But I've been worried about it because, like, the other night I just got like a really dry throat, and I was like, okay, we can't keep the AC on at night anymore. But now I'm just a little congested. I haven't actually felt any like sickness though, which is good. I'm hoping we don't get worse. The hope is to only get better, right? Very sorry. I should have done this beforehand, but I wanted to start the stream. Because it's a Saturday, you know? It's that time. Really. Perfect. You gotta do the Elon Love thing and just pretend it's not there before it's too late. Yeah. I mean, I try and do that. I don't usually get too sick. I usually do all right, so I try and when I can, just ignore it. It is time to get quasi. Now that Alex is in here, we can really get started. Yes, I posted on there. That's correct. That's correct. Looks all fine. Okay. So this is from thatsokatey, and it's why I don't watch Hasanabi anymore. I don't know how to say the CUWK, Cuck, episode 62.
This video is to criticize Hasan, not necessarily his politics, while I do disagree with a hefty amount of his—
Oh, yeah, I was watching it at 2x while skimming too. Let me slow it down, sorry.
This video is to criticize Hasan, not necessarily his politics, while I do disagree with a hefty amount of his beliefs, and I will criticize some of them in this video. The crux of my views are around how Hasan operates. This is my opinion, obviously, and how I see things. Surely I am biased.
And this is my opinion, and I am biased as well. So this is a man's opinion of a woman's opinion of a man. Let's see how this goes.
In a few places, but I'm making this video—
And then all of you can have your own opinion, and then there's even more layers. Really good stuff.
To succinctly describe why I don't watch Hasan anymore as an ex-fan, and why I wouldn't recommend that you watch him either. An overview of what I'll be talking about today is outlining his inability to apologize for anything or to meaningfully and earnestly acknowledge when he has been wrong. The foundation of who he is built upon the ego of someone who has to be correct all the time. And if he's wrong, well, then giving a heartfelt apology followed by a meaningful action would make him look weak. That's my perspective of how he thinks. Moments of his lies and deception will be mentioned here. It's fairly important to me, and I think that anyone who has been online as long as he has, they're gonna mess up and they're gonna make mistakes. But he lies by omission very frequently, in my opinion. He utilizes character assassination as a means to deflect valid criticism of himself, and his viewers, who are unaware of these critiques in any other light, just assume Hasan is right. And I would know just as well as anybody else because I watched him for many years and I believed him for that entire time.
And that was kind of the main reason I wanted to watch this video specifically, because we watch a lot of content from detractors, I guess you would say. So I do want to get a perspective from someone who is like a fallen fan, you might say, but someone that is more closely, more knowledgeable on Hasan's content. Because even Conduit, who watched a week of Hasan, still doesn't necessarily know all of the intricacies of Hasan's content.
Of course, I can't just make a video of Hasan right now without talking about the alleged animal abuse, and not just of Kaya, but of previous dogs. Hasan clearly displays a pattern of anger issues, in my opinion. He's an extremely angry person who takes his anger out on his surroundings or his chatters. And anyone who knows anything about domestic violence knows that people who throw things, hit inanimate objects, are simply a stone's throw away from doing it to other people and living beings. Fortunately, we have not seen Hasan do anything like that. He is not a domestic abuser, but there are lots of clips.
Ela was making a similar point, and I do see what you're saying, and I think that the whole point is, it's not to say that Hasan is an abuser or will be an abuser, but it's just to say, like, you need to understand when you're doing something that's wrong, and Hasan can't even admit when he's doing something like that might seem minuscule. It's like, well, what then will he see as being wrong? Like, what level do we need to get to before he's going to actually look at look at the errors of his ways?
Clips of him maybe even hitting his desk in anger, constant yelling, throwing verbal insults to people, and it's disturbing that so many people find this entertaining. I grew up in a household where throwing things and yelling was unfortunately pretty common, so I think I can tell pretty well when someone is not faking their anger and is genuinely.
She seems very sane, not like one of his crazy sycophants. Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know, I feel like it shouldn't take a whole lot to see that Hasan is, like, not that great. I feel like if you watch, like, a brunt of his content, you'll kind of get it, but I suppose most people are only tuning in for the perspectives they might already agree upon. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's they can't really, they're not seeing anything that is, abject to their personal beliefs. And then so when something like this happens, it's more in tune with their personal sensibilities. And that kind of thinking isn't the best either, because then that's lacking. That might be lacking levels of sympathy or empathy or whatever you want to say. But I don't know. That is interesting.
Having issues with managing their feelings and emotions. And again, this is my opinion and interpretation of events, okay? Now, I have an issue with Hasan's inability to apologize, acknowledge his mistakes and wrongdoings in a way that is meaningful.
Whoa, his head looks even tinier here. See, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Loner Box looks like a mix of Hasan and Destiny. And this is my proof of it. Like right here, him and Loner Box could be cousins. His head
or
looks even smaller here.
in a way that is earnest. One big thing that I don't think that he takes on as seriously as I would like him to is one of the big things is Tibet. The Tibet and China, I wouldn't even call it a conflict because China has pretty much squashed the Tibetan people and their spirit in a very disgusting way. And to be honest, I never really knew Hassan's take on Tibet, China. I don't think he really talks about it very often, but I actually made a video about the Tibetan history. I did a lot of research. And I did a video on all of that and the entirety of how that came to be. And I was pretty shocked by the way that Hassan had treated the people of Tibet and like what's happened.
Lonerbox is hungry, Hasan. Lunchbox. I am pretty sure my ex turned on H3 when Ethan made fun of Hassan's head during the debate because my ex has a small head too. Hey, we got to be able to laugh at our own insecurities. You know, I've got big ears. That's why I wear these headphones. Oh no. Maybe if I wear headphones for long enough, it'll weigh them down. You know, I remember I have a cleft chin, and when I was in biology class in freshman year, the teacher was talking about different genetic traits and was talking about the cleft chin, and she kept calling it a butt chin and then pointed out that I was the only person in the class with the cleft chin. And I literally was just like, thanks for pointing out that I'm the only one in class with the butt chin. Because that's just how she kept saying it, like, the entire time she was talking about it. But that joke got laughs. So that's why you gotta be able to just poke and prod. Bob and weave, you know? I've got a giant head, lol. Bobblehead? See, I've been told I have a big head, and that's why it's like I want to get bigger. But I don't know. I'll headbutt you, I guess. Let's duke it out. Hit you with the rhino run. Stampede.
There. And I was also pretty shocked at the time to see him spouting CCP propaganda about Tibet and the Tibetan people. And he springs up these concepts of like, oh well, Tibet was a feudal society. It was also a society where they literally made like skin drums out of people, and people were serfs. It was a serfdom society. And I'm actually going to tell you here, Hasan is wrong about that. Hasan, there is no way to confidently say anything about the way that Tibet was before China came and took over Tibet by force. They took over Tibet by force, and there is no confident way to say anything about Tibet, unfortunately, because a lot of the Tibetan records and historical documents were actually destroyed. And it was destroyed by the Chinese Red Guards during the ideology movement, or there was this movement that happened in China, and the Red Guards were coming to Tibet to destroy a bunch of Tibetan monuments, documents. They destroyed a bunch of Tibetan religious sites, and so we lost a lot of Tibetan history from that. And now the only people that you'll see saying that Tibet was a feudal serf, like 100%, like, oh, this was 100% a serf master relationship, like people didn't have rights in Tibet, everything was fucked. You cannot say that with 100% accuracy. You just can't. And the only people who are saying it like that is China. And there are many reasons why you cannot trust China when it comes to Tibet. And in some cases, I guess you can't even really trust Tibet when it comes down to it either. And the Tibetan people. And there was one video that disturbed me quite a lot with Hasan, and that was the Tibetan children dying in Chinese boarding schools.
But also outside of that, like the long and extensive history of Chinese empire.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just looking at it on the side while she was talking about it, and yeah, it seems like it is heavily debated. But the thing that isn't debated is the oppression that the Chinese government has put on Tibet. So, it does seem very complicated, the history, and that's why I would like to watch her video. She seems like a pretty small channel, but it seems to be doing some good content. But she did a free Tibet video 8 months ago. And so might have to check that out too. But yeah, it does seem like it's a very complicated history debate. I'm just looking at like the Wikipedia page and was scrolling through a couple different like separate links and stuff. And yeah, I mean the first things on the Wikipedia page are literally history debates, political debates, and academic debates before going into the human rights aspect and everything. I mean, that does just. I mean, I guess it just muddies it generally. You can't say one way or the other. It's kind of the brass tacks.
And it's controlled, that it's maintained over Tibet, allowing Tibet to operate autonomously while still, entertaining the notion of serfdom existing until Mao Zedong. I work at a major news outlet. I think you're just a dumb guy.
I work at a news outlet. I think you're just a dumb guy. It seems like Hasan gets so mad at like innocuous stuff. This is like straight up someone calling him out for being like uneducated, and he just seems unbothered. You know what I mean? Like he seems to get always so pressed by like the most like just nothing stuff, but then someone will be like, "You're an idiot. You don't know any of this." And he just laughs at them. I guess because then he might, if he tried to, I guess it just depends on the specific topic. Probably he might. There are times when he goes a little bit harder, I guess. Why does he read those comments? I don't know. He has a pretty fast chat. I'm surprised he can lock in on them.
True. I am a dumb guy. You cooked on that. They should show the kids Sopranos. Oh my god. All right, let's continue with the article. Strangers to their own homes. Gallo, a Tibetan education researcher, became alarmed by the boarding schools in 2016 when he saw that his two preschool-aged grandnieces were who were attending one of his hometown in.
You know what I just realized? I think some of Hasan's funniest content, because I'm like trying to think like that was kind of a funny Hasan clip, and then I realized I think Hasan's funniest content really is just when his chat says something that's slightly entertaining. Because I was wondering, I was like, oh, maybe they were just referencing something that was going on previously too. Like I don't even know. I can't tell if they were talking about. They seemed like the pretty dedicated chatter, and then that next message about the Sopranos was kind of funny.
In northwestern China, prefer to speak.
His laugh is, he has a bunch of different laughs. Are they all fake? Because I've seen him laugh like a bunch of different ways. Does he do it based on how the chat looks that day?
Big Mandarin, not Tibetan. When the grandnieces, then aged 4 and 5, went home on the weekend, he said in an interview they appeared withdrawn and spoke awkwardly in Tibetan with their parents. Much change from when he saw them in the previous year. Now they behave like strangers in their own home, he said. I said to my brother, what if you don't send them?
Hasan should learn how to laugh. He should listen to me read Death Trumpet. That's a person who has a real laugh. That is like. I'm gonna just pull it up because it is really good. I want to watch just you laughing again because it's so funny, because after reading it myself, I didn't realize how short it was because of how much you were just dying the whole time. Where is it? Do. Or wait, wrong one. Click. Or wait, that is the right one. Yes? No. This one. Wrong one. All women look the same to me. God damn it. All women look the same to me, Alex. I can't read. Is this one also wrong? Why are none of these showing the thing? What's going on? There we go. I found it. Did my internet just die? What happened? Restart the page, maybe?
Trumpet just eating someone's ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great part to jump to.
Dead.
It's like the least watchable thing I've ever made, dude. It's so fucking crazy. Okay. When I took out the trumpet, it comes with red blood.
What did it come with?
and the corroded mouthpiece.
The boarding school.
See, I thought it was the other one because for some reason in my head, ASMR made sense for you to tell a creepypasta on the episode with the ASMR YouTuber. That just made more sense in my head for some reason. All women don't look the same to me. That was a joke, I swear. I promise. But let's get back into it. Sorry, a little tangent. Hasan needs to learn how to laugh. WR word? What the fuck? What are they looking at? Wait, now I need to go back.
Home on the weekend, he said in an interview they appeared withdrawn and spoke awkwardly in Tibetan with their parents. Much change from when he saw them in the previous year. Now they behave like strangers in their own home, he said. I said to my brother, what if you don't send them to the boarding school? Gyalo said. He said he had no choice. Gyalo set out to investigate the changes families were going through as the schools expanded across Tibetan regions in China. Over the next 3 years, he visited dozens of such schools and saw that many Tibetan students.
Well, the thing that's funny too is like, well, of course Hasan doesn't care because, and it's funny, but also just sad because the reason Hasan doesn't care is because they're being like re-educated in re-education camps, which is what he wants. It's what he likes.
Spoke little of their mother tongue and were sometimes only able to see their parents once every several weeks or even months. Children as young as preschool age were being sent away, he said, and parental visits were limited. The Times talked to 3 Tibetan parents with children of elementary school age and residential schools who said they had no choice and that they were not allowed to visit their children at will. Many Tibetan parents accepted their children should learn Chinese for a chance at a better job, said Gyalo, who now lives in Canada and is an activist working to draw attention to the schools. But also, most want their children to first gain a strong grounding in their mother tongue. Yeah, this is my attitude as well. Like, as long as they still as long as they still learn in their mother tongue and that they also learn Mandarin, I wouldn't see a problem with this. I think the issue in and of itself is whether or not this is done by force or what the parents mean when they say they have no other options. Do they have no other options because they live in a remote village where there is no like Tibetan first education readily available? Or is there no options because the Chinese government's like, yeah, you have to send. What is this? Gyalo works.
There's no option because China closed all the Tibetan schools. You idiot. China shut down the Tibetan schools. They stopped the teaching of their native language and their culture. Tibetan people aren't even allowed to practice their religion the way that they want to. And Hasan has never talked about the self-immolation of Tibetan people who are trying to scream out that they are suffering. And people have said that the amount of suffering that Tibetan people are going through right now in the aftermath of China taking over them it's not comparable to whatever they may have been going through before China came. And the only reason China really came to Tibet is...
And what you said about the self-immolations, that was one of the parts when I was skimming through that I looked up, and it said between 2009 and 2022 there was like 160 self-immolations, I believe, which is self-burnings, and then they would also the people that would survive and wouldn't die in the fires that maybe got put out or whatever would be arrested and go missing at times, which is also kind of crazy.
Is because did you know that they've made
It's not kind of crazy, that is just crazy. You get what I'm saying.
almost
Even the way he reads, he sounds like a sociopath, no emphasis on anything, lol. Maybe he's just bad at reading. I'm trying to get my reading game up.
over 200 dams in Tibet. And you won't hear Hasan ever talking about the Brahmaputra River because he doesn't know what the fuck is going on in Tibet. Seizing control of the upstream of the Brahmaputra River has been an extremely good tactic for China because they're going to build one of the world's biggest dams on that river, and that river runs right down to India. India is
And the self-immolations actually went from China, Nepal, India. There was a few other countries too. It wasn't just in China. It wasn't just in Tibet.
downwards of that river where they're building the dam. China is going to be controlling the water there. India is going to start losing water because of this dam, and China says that they have a right to it. And Hasan himself has also said that China has a right to Tibet just simply because of geographical location, and China has tried to argue that they have a right to Tibet because of the history and how their history is so intertwined, when they've actually grossly over-exaggerated their relationship to Tibet. Yeah. So, listen, you can watch my original video about Tibet because it's very informative, it's very well researched, and this is one of the things that I get so upset about, is the fact that Hasan can position himself as like the movement for Palestine. He is the freedom fighter, he is the freedom thinker, but when it comes to something like criticizing China, I know he memes about this a lot. He says that like, oh, my detractors will always go, they always misrepresent what I'm saying. If Hasan really cared about human rights violations, if he really cared about preserving cultures and helping people who are being obliterated and violently assimilated by another people who are taking over their land, he would care more about Tibet. He would. And he should, but he doesn't. And then he mischaracterizes children dying in Chinese boarding schools, saying like, oh, it's just bullying. Why is the news even bothering to cover this? They're making it out to be worse than it is. And it's like, well, no. The Tibetan children, their parents' only choice is to allow their children to be taken to Chinese boarding schools because the Tibetan schools have all been shut down by China. And when these kids go to these boarding schools, they're being forced to learn nothing about their religion, their culture. They're being forced to become essentially just Chinese. They learn only Chinese dialects, and then even if it is just bullying, they should not be dying in these schools, and people should be talking about it because it is fucked up. It's not just a simple matter of like, oh, it's just bullying. Oh, it's just kids being kids, whatever. It happened to me. We were all bullied, eh? It's not normal, and it shouldn't be normalized. And I hate that Hasan normalized that because it's fucked up. And I will not stop talking about it because it is horrendous. And it is, quite frankly, an inconsistency in his principles. If he was a principled person, he would care far more about the people of Tibet than he does. He doesn't give a shit about them. He doesn't talk about them for a reason, because it's a inconsistency with his socialist pro-China takes. And maybe sometimes he'll be like, oh, China shouldn't have done that, or oh, they shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, Hasan is pro-China. He is for the CCP, and he has fallen for CCP propaganda about Tibet. Now, if you want to be a well-informed person, you need to do your own research. You can't rely on someone like Hasan to bird feed it into your mouth for you, because the fact that he can fall for that kind of propaganda so easily, I'm sure he's done it willfully too. But the fact that he has fallen for that and he's spouting that rhetoric, that disgusting nonsense, means that he's just not telling the truth. He's not telling the truth, he's lying by omission, or he's being willfully ignorant. Either way, he is captured ideologically. I can't stand Hasan. The lying and deflection. He ignores his critics.
That was a pretty good soundbite, honestly.
I can't stand Hasan. The lying and deflection. He ignores his critics, and we're going to be talking about this a lot, but Hasan abates valid critiques of himself by attacking the character of the person making those claims. He always does this, and once you start to notice it, you might think it's a bit of a crazy coinky-dink that somehow all of his detractors are these horrible, terrible people. They're all liars, they're murderers, they're rapists, they're rape reviewers. But then again, maybe not. Maybe there's a lot of horrid people on the internet, and Hasan apparently has made a lot of enemies. Is it far-fetched to say that maybe his biggest critics are far right-wing nutjobs? I guess we'll just keep watching Hasan and never engage with criticisms of his, because who's to say if those people are reliable? And that's exactly how I thought. I would go on Twitter, I would see Hasan Piker trending every single time. I would roll my eyes and be like, okay, what now? I'd still check just in case something like crazy was happening, but I would be smug and I'd see fellow Hasanabi heads sticking up for our boy, and I'd be like, yeah, there's context missing here. Okay, cool. So this criticism is negligible, I guess. Okay, cool. I don't personally know the context, but Hasan knows what he's doing. And it was always this mentality of Hasan understands. He gets it. He knows what he's doing. He has a political sci major degree or whatever. Like, he understands what's going on here far more than any random person on the internet, right? The only reason people make negative videos about him is so people can get ad revenue. Hasan says that people voluntarily and maliciously misunderstand his point so that they can drive those clicks. This is a literal propaganda machine at work right in front of our eyes. Here's what I hope a Hasan fan can come out of this video with, if anyone watching this would even dare to be a Hasan fan and watch this. Please, believe in what your own eyes and ears are sensing.
Can't trust our eyes, though. Taylor Lorenz taught us that. Don't believe your own eyes. Don't. Stop it. If you see it, you're wrong.
You need to do your own research. I know it's hard. I know it's time consuming. I know it's difficult. But if you keep following this one person and his group of specific people that he approves of, you are playing into the propaganda. It's just that simple. Saying that all the negative videos about you are people intentionally missing the point, or just being obtuse or like lying for clicks, is insanely egotistical, or it's intentionally misrepresenting the situation to further your agenda. By saying that, Hasan's statement is misleading in its very nature. He's promoting this doctrine that his detractors are grasping at straws and you don't have any valid reason to criticize Hasan. Then he characterizes these detractors as being rape reviewers when they're not. And hold on, we'll get there. If you know, you know, we'll get there.
Talking about the Pope?
But this horrendous characterization of his detractors emboldens Hasan fans to not engage in their own research. And I know that some of his enemies and detractors or whatever, yes, they are terrible people. Some of them are. 100%. But there are also a lot of people who make very valid criticisms of him. We live in a time where views equals support and money, and a lot of people therefore don't want to give views and watch the people that they believe to be immoral and unapproved of. This creates this echo chamber where a person never leaves a circle of content that is carefully curated to keep them there. And I want to take this to the allegory of the cave, a Plato thought experiment featuring Socrates. Or Socrates.
She's really smart. She's using philosophy to explain things. And honestly, that's a really good analogy, too.
people call him Socrates. I like Socrates better.
Who calls him Socrates? Socrates. Socrates? Socrates. That's Socrates.
These prisoners have been kept in a cave their entire lives, alright? They're chained by their ankles and their necks, and they observe these shadows on the wall in front of them, and behind them are people who are manipulating the shadows with firelight. These people can't move, they have no idea that there are people behind them.
The whole thing is that they're fully immobilized, so that they're fully just looking and watching the shadows in the cave.
Creating these shadows, and their entire reality of how they understand the world is just these shadows that are brought in front of them. And these shadows are not an accurate representation of what the world really is like. These shadows show blurred and distorted versions of what reality is. And some prisoners would leave the cave if they could, and some, having known no better life, would choose to remain in this place, and ultimately this place that is deceitful to them. And Socrates explains that these shadows are just as much reality for these prisoners because they know of nothing else if they have been in prison since childhood. And Socrates thinks that it's possible that even if the prisoners left the cave, they might want to return to it simply because they don't believe the outside world to be true. If they would want to return to a world they're accustomed to, then being in the sun where it hurts their eyes. So returning to my...
But even beyond that too, I'm pretty sure Socrates also spoke on if someone were to leave the cave and come back and tell the others, they would not believe the one who knows. They would believe their own eyes. They would believe their ears, even though they're being lied to. And that's why it's hard, because you have to play it on multiple senses. They're playing by their eyes and their ears. They hear nothing, but they see the shadows on the wall. But they're not willing to take in the new information that is the outside perspective, which is I think also an interesting perspective, because I think that is very analogous to the modern sycophant, somebody who is so has a certain belief system so ingrained in them that they're not willing to even hear out other perspectives. So that is a great analogy, honestly.
My point, Hasan fans don't believe their own eyes and ears. They believe what they are told to believe, and even if reality is shown to them front and center, I truly think they do not wish to believe it. Because to see reality is to admit that they have been watching shadows in a cave for who knows how long. It's embarrassing to admit that you've been a victim of propaganda, to admit that you don't really do any research yourself, yet you consider yourself to be well informed. I've seen people saying that the recent Hasan controversy, while it looks bad and very well may be, it's not nearly as bad as what his enemies have done. I've seen that. This delusional...
Well, what's interesting is there's a very similar thing that I've been seeing, and I just watched a Metatron video on it before starting the stream. Because I don't watch too much Metatron on stream, because I will say he is more conservative pilled. But his take on this was generally more, even a little. He was more balanced in this perspective, but there was some error in the actual information, and it is that what's it called? I literally did the research earlier when I was watching this. Young Republican National Federation, because I'm sure you guys have heard about the messages that got leaked of them saying a bunch of racist, anti-Semitic, and misogynistic stuff in this Republican group chat. And then J.D. Vance had come out and said, a friend shared these truly disturbing messages from a young Republican group chat. The group's leader genuinely calls for murdering the children of his political opponents. Oh wait, actually this is Jay Jones, a Democrat running for Attorney General in Virginia. And the messaging ends with the person first asking, or I guess just prompting, You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die? Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. And this was kind of JD Vance's way of deflecting. He said that it was a bunch of kids, and that kids, they say bad things and things that they don't mean. I remember my psychology teacher in high school told us the Matrix was based on that allegory. Yeah, I've heard that before. I think when I learned about that allegory, they used the Matrix as the example, so I think that makes sense. But they keep saying though that it was kids, and I will say that he tries to keep it even. He, like I said, he has a balanced perspective in that he thinks that this is worse than people saying racist and racist things, but he still thinks that the racist and homophobic and anti-Semitic and misogynistic things are wrong, and that using slurs and speaking in those ways should be spoken out against, which I can respect. It's just but I can't respect the fact that it was a little bit misinformed, and I went to comment this. I genuinely enjoy your content, but in this video, I don't believe you did your due diligence in researching this topic. The Young Republican National Federation is for ages 18 to 40, with 8 out of the 11 people included in these messages ranging from 24 to 35. I'm 24 myself and would look abhorrently upon anyone my age speaking this way, and trying to pass it off as kids being kids falls flat when the adults in the room don't try and rein in their younger counterparts. You can say they didn't look at the messages, but that's just speculation, and it's still a bad look for a group that stated intent is to recruit, train, and elect Republican leaders. I partially disagree with J.D. Vance that J. Jones calls for the murder of Jennifer Gilbert's children, because he could have just as easily shared the direct message in which he stated that specifically, and not the message of him expressing his extremely callous thoughts on other callous people only caring about policy that personally affects them. But I will still say that J. Jones' language is still beyond abhorrent and vile for wishing this as some utilitarian cause. I appreciate the content you make and the way you try and find a well-rounded and grounded perspective. We might disagree on specifics, but I'm glad we can agree that the radicals are the true problem. Because I don't think that this is exactly what they're saying it is, because he's prompting him by asking, you were saying you were hoping that Jennifer Gilbert's children would die, and then he didn't say that specifically. He said yes, he agreed. I've told you this before, only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. And that's just talking about the callousness of people and how they don't care about people, like anybody that isn't closely tied to them. But I was bringing this up because this is like the use of a deflection of what's worse. And I don't think it really matters what's worse, right? Because we should be able to call out both things being wrong. Like, it's ridiculous to act as though it's all just it's debate bro shit. That's whataboutisms. That's what you're doing. You can't do that when we're actually trying to have like a meaningful conversation. You have to be willing to concede on certain points and then like point out that you are not like it's like Karl Marx calling out the Marxists, you know what I mean? It's like Karl Marx calling out the Marxists. He's not saying that he doesn't believe in communism. What he was saying is that he disagreed with certain groups in like France or some shit. We have to understand that we are not, like, nothing is monolithic. Nobody is the same as anybody else, and even when you think that you have the same perspective, I'm sure that there's some point in your perspective that is different than whoever you're agreeing with. Like, there's some kind of caveat that one of you holds.
This delusional activity, and I have a totally different perspective now because I'm seeing people engage in the same delusions that I once did. And it's an extremely wild thing to view and to remember being in that place at one point and watching so many people still be stuck there. Another way that Hasan lies is by omission or being purposefully obtuse about situations, in my opinion. He does this thing where he goes like, oh, wasn't it this thing? Which is usually a half-truth. For example, With the brothel situation, he omits the fact that the brothel he went to did in fact involve a girl who was being forced to do sex work there. She was also a minor, and her boyfriend was in Hell's Angels. So the investigation into the brothel was factually correct. Hasan diminished the investigation.
I was watching Loner Box a bit earlier, and Dan Saltman kept using whataboutism. It was total debate bro shit. I hate it. Like, why? Do you think it makes you look weak? Like, I really don't get it. Like, we should be able to, like, and the other point is you should also be able to say whatever you say in private and public. Like, you shouldn't feel the need to hide in some group chat and say all these racist, and anti-Semitic and misogynistic and hateful things. Because if you feel that way, express it then. Explain why. And then we can have a discussion on why you're wrong or why we're wrong. Really explain it to us. But be genuine. And don't try and hide behind being kids when you're 24 to 30. Sorry, I'm going back to the Republican group chat, but I still can't believe it. They were calling them kids when 8 out of the 11 were 24 to 35. Even if I was in a group chat with 3 18-year-olds and they were just saying racist shit in there, I'd be like, bro, what are you guys doing? You guys are stupid. And I'd have a conversation with them especially because there weren't that many people. It doesn't seem like it was that involved. If you'd rather win the argument than actually be correct, I don't want anything to do with you. Yeah. Because that's like the whole thing is debating is stupid because debating is trying to prove your point. You shouldn't just be trying to prove your point. You should be trying to change your perspective into something that's like, for lack of a better word, righteous,
Investigation into the brothel and went, oh, it's just tax evasion. Haha. When doesn't a brothel engage in tax evasion? Am I right, guys? He only allows half of the truth that is not really as bad, and he omits the other part of it, which is a very valid criticism. It is a valid criticism to critique a guy for going to a brothel, a place where even if it's legal, even if it's somewhat regulated, it's still the possibility that you're going to find sex workers there who are not doing this of their own free will, and in this case, it was a minor. Like, whether you like it or not, these brothels have these issues.
And that's why you should not be encouraging brothels. And anybody who even if there was a brothel that Hasan had gone to and it was completely ethical, whatever the fuck that means, but if it was completely ethical, then because yes, you can have like ethical sex work, but I think having it be in like there's certain aspects of a brothel that I think are what it adds to what I'm getting to is when you encourage a behavior of something that you might think is good, it is going to lend to the people that want to abuse the system and then kidnap people and hold people captive and use sex slavery and stuff like that. And that's why you shouldn't be opposed to that type of work. Like, I don't think, and that's why I think we're in a modern age. We're in a new age. If you're trying to make that money, get on the internet. I had that thought. I thought before I turned 18, I was like, if I'm not in a committed relationship, I'll just go into. It was before even personal work. I was like, I'll just go in and try it myself. I was like, I'll go hit up an agency. No shame. There's no shame in it. I don't think there's any shame in sex work. But I do think that when you encourage certain types of behavior, it lends to people that are willing to abuse the system. And I guess the only way you can do it then is like if you have it into, I don't know, come and be able to look over and rate your brothel. Make sure it's up to brothel standards. I still have that thought. LOL. Live your best life. You know. Do whatever you got to do. Life.
So-
That's the thing. I don't think it's a do whatever you've got to do kind of work. I think that you should. Ooh. Oh no. Did the internet cut out? L's, F's in chat. Okay, we're back. But what I was going to say is that you shouldn't be doing it because you think that you shouldn't be doing it to make money. You should be doing it because you love the work. Because if you're doing it to just make money, it's going to end up probably causing some kind of psychological damage. I'd strongly consider sex work if I didn't have judgmental family members. I thought Hasan didn't like paying for sex. Wasn't that his whole reason why he would sleep with women before taking them on a date? LOL. He probably had a Groupon. So true, so true.
So during the copyright debates, Hasan admitted he was wrong for leaving videos running while leaving his stream, and he said he would change, but he hasn't. So yeah, sometimes he is humbled, he admits his wrongdoings. However, I think he's fully aware that he can pretend to care about the current issue until everyone forgets about it in a week, and then when something else happens and everyone's focused on that, he can return to business as normal. And I have proof of it. He's doing it again.
Yeah, that is real. That is what happened. All right, government shutdown. Hold on, I gotta go deal with the Uber delivery real quick.
Now, Washington President Trump is raising the stakes for the government shutdown, threatening mass firing.
So we're still doing this, are we?
Nancy Cordes is at the White House.
Nice.
Nancy, good morning.
Like, I just don't understand why he can't pay somebody to just make him little quirky 3D animations or something to play when he runs off screen for a minute. Of him playing fetch with Kaya, or shooting at the bourgeoisie. At the bourgeoisie. Sorry, I'm not as good as a girl with a microphone. I know she was trying to send a lesson to Nicholas Diorio. Bourgeoisie. I can't do it. My French isn't that good. I only took one semester in high school.
So what exactly
He's gonna go deal with the Uber delivery, and we're just gonna sit here and watch this video run.
Lead to layoffs, but President
Awesome! Great! Love to see it.
I love this too because it looks like. Okay, guys, I'll be right back.
Awesome!
Gotta go catch a flight. Like.
Love to see it.
Opportunity to slash government agencies, especially the ones that Democrats care about the most. White House officials.
Wait, if he left for 5 minutes, that means 2 videos played because he pulled up, or is this a live? I literally can't even tell.
Oh my god. But hey, he's back! Woohoo!
The bourgeoisie? Yes, exactly. The bourgeoisie.
Jesus Christ.
I don't think these guys understand that they're playing too much.
Huh?
Okay? I don't think they are aware of how much they're playing and how fucking annoying this shit is to the average person. They keep joking around about like the shutdown at a time when there are a lot of very frustrated people. They are acting. They're operating like they got Obama numbers.
No, yeah. I mean, like I've always said, it's seemingly less bad when you're doing it to YouTube content that's like somebody's video, because usually videos are collections of clips already. There's already other things. So like it's kind of a more there's more of a gray area there. But doing it to like news and like other types of videos, like you are literally risking fair use for all platforms when the biggest channels and creators are just freely showing other people's content. It's crazy.
On the economy.
Again, I don't think he even knows what he's talking about because he hasn't been there to watch the video. It's been playing, and they haven't even been talking about that. So, I don't know. I don't care.
Do his fans ever feel like an inconvenience or something? Because, like, why do they tolerate that kind of treatment? I don't get how they can like Hasan so much when he walks away like that. Like, how do you keep watching other content? Don't you want to hear Hasan's perspective? Don't you want to at least look at him?
It's clear to me that this is evidence enough that he has not changed his ways. He's still playing videos when he's away from the screen. So the only conclusion I can make is it's just yet another thing that he fucking lies about. Awesome. Hasan has not changed on this. He still leaves videos running while he goes and does stuff. And quite frankly, it's just more evidence to the point that he is a lying bastard. Hasan's misogyny cannot be ignored. Hasan says in this clip famously that date rapes are bad, but in a utilitarian perspective...
At least Patrick Henry College is like doing one good thing, which is that like if you have these millionaire, billionaire, WASP fail sons, at least taking them out of other colleges so they can only do date rape to other billionaire, millionaire failed daughters is like, in some respects, you know, from a utilitarian perspective, of course, a little bit better. You know what I mean? Like,
that's not utilitarian. What's the utility? What is the utility in that? Because you're saying it's there's oh God. What's the fuck? What? Oh my God. There's no utility. You're literally just transferring the abuse. That's all you're doing. And only like perceptively. Like you that's not even like you don't know if that's true. Like just because they're at the same schools doesn't mean that's the only people they're going after.
taking these guys and putting them in a pen with one another is ultimately getting them away from the broader society. I'm not stating that it's a good thing that date rape is happening. I'm saying that date rape from these people are inevitable, so at least it's contained to others from the same fucking stuff.
It's better if it happens to by rich guys to rich girls, because at least the rich girls can afford therapy. This is one of those moments where I would say, maybe you just didn't have to say that, like, at all. You know, he says that Nicholas Diorio does literal rape reviews, which he does not. This is literal rape reviewing. If there was anyone who was doing rape reviews, it's literally Hasan in this moment.
You know, I never thought about that aspect of it, but also, like, questioning the rapes that happened on October 7th, calling all, like, you know what I mean? That is more of a rape review. That, I'm telling you, she's smart.
I mean, come on.
She knows what she's talking about.
It couldn't get any more clearer.
What's a good emoji for the bonk sound? I don't know, like maybe a hammer? Because that way it's like a comedic hammer. Bonk, bonk, bonk.
Mr. Oreo doesn't do rape reviews, like, what the fuck? Is it that? Let me get this clip.
I do love that people call him Mr. Oreo. Mr. Oreo does not do those, I swear.
Is it a bad name for a segment of going over how munted a person is? Yeah, look, I wouldn't defend his naming methodology by any means, but Hasan literally does rape reviews. He's just projecting onto Mr. Oreo. Like, it's insane.
I'm sure that the origin of that naming by Nicholas Diorio is probably some in-joke with his community that was made like a long... Like, I genuinely don't get it myself at all. I think that it's a weird thing to do. But it's not like that's what the actual content is. It's literally just like a bumper that he uses that's like an intro. It's like a UFC parody.
And once again, Hasan is doing this thing where he mischaracterizes his enemies, does this lying by omission, so he can plead that he's ignorant. And, you know, someone like Jolly St. Nick has very valid criticisms of Hasan and many other people who Hasan likes, and by characterizing Nicholas Diorio as someone who does literal rape reviews, it prevents his followers from actually going and doing their own research and leaving the fuck.
Is that literally is just that it's a crazy name? Because that's what I thought, is that it's just some stupid in-joke that's like, they talked about it once or twice, and then the community gets it, but then everybody else is like, what the fuck is happening? Flocka, yeah, it's like Flocka, fair enough. I think they call him Oreo because of Hasan calls him Mr. Oreo. Nicholas eats Oreos, what did he call him? Which is still going to alienate people, because at the end of the day, the joke is still, yeah. I mean, that's why I think that it's probably not a great look, but I mean, at least he's being, forward with his beliefs. He's showing you what he is and isn't willing to joke about. And I don't know what he isn't willing to joke about. Anything that'll get him banned.
Fucking cave. Hasan is still doing
Can't really explain, but I've heard him explain it, and it kind of makes it, and it's kind of making fun of the commentary community. I could see that too, like when people make content, like what Bo Black said, that when you, in Alex the Fiction's H3Y podcast interview, Bo Black said that you get like overwhelmed with all of this like essay like content basically, and some people will just like lean into it and just keep talking about it more and more and make that like the driving point of their content. And honestly, that is kind of disgusting. So I could understand making the joke about it, but keeping it going, it kind of it loses the fun after some time. I will say, Jolly Saint Nick and Pope Nicholas are spreading. So true. There was one. What's the other one? There's one more for Nicholas Diorio.
shadow figures, shadow puppets. So, of course.
The one I liked, Papa Gut said this once. Nicky D. Nicky D's. Because he's Nicholas Diorio, so it's Nicky D's. I was watching Nicky D's video.
Nicholas Diorio does not do fucking rape reviews in the literal sense. He uses that word in a very internet speak manner, but I'm not surprised that people would hear about it and assume the worst. I think a lot of people, the R word is kind of a trigger for them, and so I can understand people being sensitive to it, right? Fair enough. But no, Nicholas doesn't do rape reviews in the sense that he's doing a bingo card of someone's sexual assault and then rating it on a scale. That's not what's happening. He just covers YouTube drama and I guess just drama in general. It's not just YouTube, right? His opinions are actually very reasonable and he has very level-headed takes. I was actually very surprised by that when I started watching his streams. I was going into his streams thinking like, I don't know if I'm watching someone who's like not aligned with some of my political senses, but he's actually a very level-headed guy. I mean, maybe my only criticism, I guess, is that he uses the R word pretty frequently, so if you're sensitive to that as well, I guess you're not going to watch him, and that's fair enough. You can choose to not like him if that's the case. But he has very...
Honestly, Alex, you might want to reach out to her for the H3Y podcast, because it seems like she's in the know of different topics, and it's a little bit outside. I don't know if she's an H3 fan. There seems to be possibility there, but nothing that's been outright yet. So I do think that she would be an interesting person to talk to, though.
Level-headed takes, and he's not some far-right smorgasbord of inhumanity like Hasan would have you believe. He's just a dude fueling his pinball addiction, covering situations from all sides. His content ranges from raising questions about, like, what happened in Creator Clash and interviewing people from that and trying to figure out what's been going on and, having entertaining perspectives on things. And I don't agree with everything Jolly St. Nick says, but he makes some genuinely really good informative content. And when he's wrong about stuff, he will walk it back and apologize.
I mean, honestly, it's like there's tiers of creators, right? and it's like as you get more edgy down the tiers, I would say Turkey Tom is just below Nicholas DiOrio because they're friends. Like they're actually like they have the what's their podcast called? I don't even think they do it anymore. What was it? They used to do a podcast. Nicholas DiOrio, Turkey Tom, Half Baked. Yeah,
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and
with Turkey Tom and Turkey Tom, Nicholas DiOrio, and Lord Vega. But Turkey Tom seems a little more edgy.
Apologize sincerely, which is a trait that I actually I admire that in people a lot. And it's something that has...
Ooh, that's also a good one. Those do work for the bonk as well. I like this one. Honestly, all of those work good. The hammers, honestly, a lot of them work good for the bonks.
Hasan is dearly missing. And when it comes to Hasan's misogyny, we cannot ignore his past girlfriend and the way he treated her by calling the police on her when her best friend explicitly told her not to.
Genuine question, why did you choose to call the cops instead of another type of wellness check service as a safer alternative? I did not know. At the time, I did not know. That's it. It's as simple as that. I mean, I did know that there were risks involved with it, but...
This happened, Hasan admitted to it, and the ex-girlfriend also came out and exposed it. In 2020, the height of the Black Lives Matter movement, Hasan Piker called the police to do a wellness check on his ex-girlfriend Janice Griffith for not responding to his messages. He lived only 12 minutes away, and her best friend warned him and told him, do not call the police, you do not need to do this. And then Janice wrote in a Twitter post that's no longer available that she had in the past overdosed and called 911 when she was in danger, and so I guess she has a history of having some problems. But even then, her best friend told Hasan, do not call the police, we do not need it, she's fine, everything is okay.
What a Hasan moment.
Stupid sexy Hasan, why do all the girls like him?
And after this happened, Janice tried to discuss the incident of the wellness check for over a month, but Hasan wouldn't talk to her. Hasan admitted that he knew he was putting her in danger, and during the height of the Black Lives Matter movement in America, and like just being in America in general, calling the police on someone haphazardly is extremely dangerous to do. And he doesn't even give a real reason for why he made the call to the police in the first place. I believe that he was angry, and Janice was just a victim of him taking his anger out on somebody. That's what I believe. That's my opinion. And utilizing the police to harass your ex-girlfriend is scummy behavior. And her best friend, again, told him, do not do it. So why not just believe that she's okay? Why do that in the first place? It's, oh, I know why. And in my opinion, he is taking his anger out on another person, a pattern of behavior. Another part of Hasan's misogyny is him sharing nudes.
So, I'm with Hasan, and I'm not kidding you when I'm saying this. He's browsing his phone like this on Snapchat, just clicking random people. And they're girls. And they're all naked. And I'm gonna be real with you, they're all hot.
Hasan's the type of guy that if he was in the 50s, he would have been like, she's acting a little wild. Throw her in the loony bin. Never had a broad talk to me like that before.
They're all like 8 out of 10s, 9 out of 10s, 10 out of 10s. And it's not like they're just saying like, hey, like, you know, you could find out more at my OF. They're all saying like, what are you doing tonight, Hasan? Hey, hey, Hasi, how's it going? What are you doing tonight? Are you in Texas? Are you still in Texas? Are you in LA? And he did it 5 or 6 times. And with no reaction, he's like, just going through like that. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Are you fucking serious?
Wow, you have like nothing to hide, huh, Hasan?
What?
You can just so confidently give her your phone.
Oh no, I saw some shit I should not have seen and I feel very bad, but it's okay.
Wait, what did you see?
Stuff.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're
What
talking
is
about.
that?
If it was recent, then yeah.
Why did he even say that? Because, like, she's trying to play it a little coy, being like, I just saw some stuff. But then Hasan's trying to brag. He's like, yeah, if it's recently, yeah. You mean recent, right? Yeah, that shit happens all the time.
All I'm
Wait,
gonna
you were
say-
there for the first part of that.
For the first part of what?
If I'm thinking what you're thinking.
Oh, no,
maybe not.
I'm thinking just stuff that
Oh no. You don't have a private folder? Maybe he was talking about something else. You don't have a private folder or something? Come on, man. Honestly, I don't think you should really save nudes. I don't think it's probably the best thing. Because what if you get hacked? You don't want to risk somebody like leaking somebody else's nudes. Like if they're mine, who cares? But you want to see my holes? But it's I don't know. I think risking that for other people is not it ain't a good look, especially if you're gonna be not even just risking getting hacked, handing your phone over just willy nilly.
What?
stuff that people shared with you that I didn't have permission to see, so I just scroll past very quickly.
Okay, well, you're not gonna find anything good in here.
I had
Okay, that's good.
this one. No. There were others that were
Okay.
fucking good. Okay.
Okay, we
Let
need
me
a
just
fourth.
add in
Alright.
one.
I'll sit next to Hasan with the egg.
I don't know why I'm standing up here.
4 of us, cutie. There's only 4.
Whoa, is that a nude?
So was it? What was the score like? 1, 2, 3, 4 against 1, 2, 3.
His
face, it was the
Those big knockers?
No, it wasn't. Nipple piercings? I'm just wondering.
They were small knockers?
She didn't? Okay, no, that was crazy.
They're medium-sized knockers?
Leaked on stream. Yo, can you add me to the group call?
Now,
Don't worry, Alex. I have those on a separate drive. Nobody can get to those.
this is another thing where he can feign ignorance and be all coy about it. But Hasan has a well-documented past of accidentally sharing nudes from his phone to other people. And usually...
Yeah, I'd say specifically if you're not with the person, or if you're not with the person, like, anymore. If you broke up, definitely delete the nudes that you have. If you were never together to begin with, I think that it's definitely weird to keep them, but I guess it might just depend on the type of relationship you have with them, I guess. If you've all consented to it, then have fun saving them. Make it your screen wallpaper. Have fun.
by opening his phone in front of people and opening up Snapchat, where he knows he gets a lot of pornographic content and sexually explicit messages.
You've never saved your own, Alex? I guess you don't look that good then. Well, you never looked at yourself in the mirror and went, ooh, I need that. I need that real quick. That's a good angle.
He makes no effort to shield others from his content or to hide it, and a person sitting right next to him often can easily just see it just by glancing in his direction. And the fact that there have been so many situations where this has occurred, and he never learns his lesson,
Oh, is she not going to show the clip where he talks about it being ethical? Does everyone remember that clip where he's like, well, if you just have it open and you're scrolling past it and I'm like to walk by and I see it, then it's not like you're showing it to me, so it's not bad. So just do that right now. He didn't say that last part, but it's like, what are you talking about, dude?
Brings me to believe, in my opinion, that he does it on purpose. He does it intentionally. He thinks it's a flex. He thinks it's cool. Now, it's interesting how when it comes to people...
Kelsey, I do like the idea of sending repeats. You're just laying in bed in jammies and you're like, nah, I don't feel like taking a new one. You just send an old image. It's smart. That's a big brain play right there.
Like, Any other e-celeb who has Snapchat, like, we've gone over James Charles so much. Everyone knows the James Charles stuff. In fact, I think James Charles was legitimately the creator of the, if you have Snapchat, yes sus. I truly do believe that these celebrities, these famous people who have...
I don't have a public Snapchat, but I only have a Snapchat because I want to show my whole... There we go. My cat. But I have... It's like getting blurred out. I have over 900 messages on my phone. They're all spam. I have over 900 messages on my phone. I am not about to like try and delete messages and like cipher through people sending me stuff. I get messages on Instagram and real close friends. I get messages on Snapchat. But literally I just use that for like 3 friends now. And then my parents I have saved at the top of my text messages so I can see those. I just check it every now and then. I usually message them first. Not usually. Sometimes. I try my best. Gotta check in. Gotta check in on moms and pops.
Snapchat and share it. They're doing it for a reason. What other reason do you have to share your Snapchat with people if it's not so that they can send you, you know, pictures, right? The whole appeal of it is that they're supposed to be pictures that are temporary, right? Hasan has even been as bold as to show reporters writing articles on him the explicit fan messages and sexual material he receives. And then returning to Ultimate Rape Review, Hasan denied many times that rapes happened on October 7th in 2023, and also saying that it didn't matter if rapes did happen. Again, it's one of those...
That's literally a reveal. It's... Her pointing that out is honestly... I don't think I've heard anybody say that, and I think it's such a good point. Like Nicholas Diorio needs to start using that as an argument, because like Hasan does say that about him way too often.
Things where it's like, why did you say that? You don't need to say that. I understand, in some ways I understand why he said it, but at the core of that message, it's despicable no matter what way you try to spin it, no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You can be pro-Palestine and still think that October 7th rapes happened to Israeli people. Regardless of what context came after, and while I empathize strongly with the people of Palestine, these people say rapes are just an unfortunate part of war and rebellion. They also just say that Israeli soldiers rape Palestinians, so what does it matter? I actually think both of these things matter extremely. I think rapes occurring does matter, and at least it matters to me. Apparently it doesn't matter to these fucking leftists. I don't think innocent people at a music festival deserve to be raped for the atrocities that their government is committing. I also think that the IDF raping Palestinians, which I am certain has occurred, I think that's deplorable and horrific and should not happen. And it shouldn't just be considered a part of, like, what's happening. At the end of the day,
because also if you were to say that to somebody in support of Palestine, like if you were to say that the IDF is it's what happens in times of war, like, yeah, you know, that doesn't make it okay. It's kind of the whole point that we're making, is that it's wrong that it happens in times of war, and we need to figure out ways to try and mitigate it.
It really isn't that hard to see the humanity of both sides of people. And I think Israeli citizens who have no part in this disgusting war that Netanyahu has been doing don't deserve to be raped and killed. And part of a statistic of like, oh, well, they're just collateral damage to a necessary greater good. That's fucked up. And rape is a choice. If it's reprehensible for the IDF to do it to Palestinians, then it's just as grotesque if Hamas does it too. These narratives that the rapes were debunked is a fucked up rhetoric to be spouting and spreading, and anyone who's saying that is not a feminist in any kind of way, nor are they a cause for good. It's believe all women until those women are Israeli. then they're just IDF propaganda plants. And even if they kill themselves for it, then it's all a lie, apparently. Diminishing sexual assault of a victim just simply because you don't like them is intensely gross and fucked up behavior. And if you really sincerely follow someone who acts in that sort of way, then I think you yourself need to take a look in the mirror and reevaluate the kind of people that you are supporting. And now, talking about the animal abuse, the recent viral clip of Hasan allegedly using a shock collar on Kaya to keep her in her place has been a very mask-off moment for Hasan, and it's also been a very telling sequence of events that show that he is lying, he's being manipulative, and he uses gaslighting vernacular, all the gaslighting vernacular that you can think of. And it's really quite interesting how people are so quick to cope on this situation. People love their animals, people love their dogs. But as I said, outlined before, the mischaracterization of his critiques, saying that they're just bad pet owners, they don't understand good pet ownership, it also goes from, oh, here's the timeline of events. Oh, she clipped her dew claw, whatever, I'm not going to check on her, to she has a collar that has the capacity to vibrate, to shock collars aren't even that bad of a thing. I didn't shock my dog. Oh, but she does have this collar that does vibrate, and shock collars aren't actually that bad, you know? It's very interesting how the narrative, Hasan's story changes day by day, and every single day it's another fucking thing. It's like, if you were watching a true crime documentary and there was a suspect whose story kept changing and changing, like, you would instantly think this person's lying. So why are people so quick to give Hasan so much benefit of the doubt? So much. And at the end of the day, I don't even think it's that much about the shock collar. I don't like shock collars. I never have. I think you can train animals just as well without them. Well, okay, maybe not just as well, but the only reason why shock collars are so effective is because it's torture to the dog. And I'm sure that there are circumstances where it's used and it's... You know what? I don't even want to say that, actually, because there are plenty of people out there who...
I have to say, it's fine to just stand on that, too. Like, I personally think that, like I've said, that there probably are instances in severe training where there's violent animals or whatever that might need it, but that's a very, very slim, like a very slim percentage that might have instances where they might need it, not like to be worn generally. But I also think that it's completely fine to just be like, no, it's not true. No, I disagree. That's completely fair. Because like, yeah, there are other ways to train, but it's just about if you find that to be a means or not. And that's like, again, I think that the bigger issue about Hasan's whole, like, the whole thing is that he kept lying about it. He clearly doesn't care if it was a shock or how bad of a shock it was, or anything, because he's just going to lie about it anyways. Like, that's the part that is what I think is the worst, like, aspect of it. The part that he keeps lying, keeps trying to obfuscate from the issue, trying to make it seem like it's not as bad as it was, that it wasn't him. He was touching the gate button and grabbing a Zin at the same time, while Kaya clipped her dew claw while actually just being a baby as well. And but she is wearing a vibration collar, but actually not in the clip that you saw. It's so, come on.
Have come out and said that they deal with dogs who have behavioral issues, and they manage to get rid of those behavioral issues without the use of shock collars. So why does it become a thing where Hasan can now use this e-collar? Let's rebrand it to an e-collar, y'all.
It's quite the difference between her calm and collected demeanor and Hasan's intense and angry self. Like, putting them next to each other just shows how much he's overcompensating for being an idiot. Good point. I feel like I probably just seem like I'm like a jittering fool, but you know, we got to keep it uppity. We got to keep it nice and family friendly. That's not what we're doing, but we're keeping it real chill or whatever. But I have been feeling like she's been really calm, and sometimes I feel like when I'm cutting in, I'm like coming in a little too hard. I'm like, wait, I need to chill out a little bit. I need to take a back seat. Let her cook for a minute.
Oh, it's an e-collar, it's vibration, it's shock, whatever. He says that he's able to do it, and that makes him a good dog owner. What about all the people who've come out and said that they're very good dog trainers, and they don't need to use shock collars? What about those people, Hasan?
Will reinforce training. This doesn't mean that she is not free to leave or that she is consistently trapped. What's one of the funniest, by the way, one of the funniest aspects of this is that, like, there are probably dog owners that are really pissed off about this, who unironically, one, never take their dog out as much as I do, and two, don't actually fucking get to see their dog for the entire day. They just like crate their fucking dog for 8 hours. Meanwhile, Kai gets to free roam in the house, gets the...
Again, this mischaracterization of people who are criticizing him. They don't do as much as I do for my dog, and even if they did, they probably still are really bad people. I mean, like, come on, it's literally the same, the tactic he uses for everything. It's not possible that competent, good dog trainers...
Oh, and she has the cat in the back. This cat almost looks fake. It's chilling. He's chilling, or he or she is chilling so hard. Just right on the edge.
Would ever think to criticize Hasan. The only people who are criticizing Hasan and his dog training are the people who they crate their dogs for hours on end. They don't take care of their dogs. I mean, it's impossible to train your dog and have your dog be as well trained as Hasan's. It's impossible. Hasan's dog is simply the best trained, the most ethically trained dog, because people who are criticizing him simply do not know what good training looks like.
This cat is really well place trained.
Unbelievable. Hey, you, stay where you are.
It's doing a good job already.
Bella? Bella! Bella! I couldn't get her to leave her spot even if she wanted to. Bella!
There's a girl.
Stay.
She is a girl.
Bella,
Aww.
place.
I just love cats so much. It's just something about them. They're great. I think cats like listening to when people are talking. Because, like, obviously dogs do too, but my cat always just comes and sits really close whenever I'm streaming. He'll usually, if I'm not streaming, he'll go to the other room sometimes, but if I'm streaming, he'll come and sit relatively close.
This is the best trained cat that you'll ever see. And anyone who says that she's a naughty girl who gets up and messes with my microphone, they're simply all my enemies and detractors who are probably all, I don't know, let's call them all rapists. And they're all murderers as well. Anyone who says anything against me and my cat, they're rapists, they're murderers, they're descendants of Adolf Hitler. You get it, right?
This cat kind of has a short tail.
And that's how I skirt any responsibility and any criticisms of who I am. Okay? Crazy.
Lay on the cot as long as she's in this room, okay? And literally is by her owner every single fucking moment of the day.
I can get a little taste of her content, the content she likes. See, we like the same stuff. Something from Dr. Mike, something from Rhett and Link. I can just tell by this editing, this looks like a Rhett and Link video. And then Alex O'Connor. No, this is Rhett and Link. Rhett and Link for sure. Or maybe what's his name? Rich Yacht? I forget what his name is. The guy that eats a lot of food. He'll eat like a day's worth of eat Denny's for 24 hours.
And also gets to go on another hour-long walk at night. And the
This girl is clever. I like her. No, man. We've been talking about that. She's funny, and she's really, like, she seems knowledgeable on the topics that she's talking about. Insightful. And yeah, clever, because I mean, pointing out the well, we'll just call it URR from Nicholas Diorio, and how it's more fitting of what Hasan actually does in regards to like October 7th and what he said about college students, rich college students. I think that's a really astute point. And she's honestly, this whole thing's been, I mean, we're only 45 minutes in. We still have another 18 plus 18, 36 minutes.
The fuckers who like
That's
to
daytime.
use the fuck out of their own dogs, unironically, are, I think, personally, a little bit upset about the way that they don't have the level of freedom that I do. That they just
Oh, so the reason why anyone is actually criticizing him is because they're jealous of him. They are jealous of me? Okay, queen. So, really, if I was to criticize using a shock collar on a dog, it's really just simply because this cat over here has no sense of personal boundaries.
Holy shit, do you know what's even cringier than Hasan? Let me know, tell me. I'm dying to know. See, I can't think of anything off the top of my head because obviously you could say like you could name lol cows or something like that, but the whole thing about it, I don't find it necessarily as cringy because people are cringing at like a ignorance. Hasan is more cringy because of his arrogance mixed with the ignorance.
Boundaries, and I can't get her to think of anything. Come on, Bella. Come on. I can't get her to come, but I'm telling you, she was on this desk earlier, wanting my attention, and I just couldn't control her. I couldn't get her to go back in her place. Maybe I.
Let's see if my cat can come. Holy. Oh, I woke him up. Big stretch. You gonna come over here? He literally flipped around and laid back. Nice. I did wake him up with that though.
I need a collar. And I think that a lot of the issue is the lies, you know? When she first hit her dew claw on the bed, you know, he's angry with her. He yells at her.
I mean, everything about it.
Her dew claw on the bed.
Look at the way her ears drop back before she even starts getting on the bed.
You know,
she's nervous. She's scared. She's thinking, oh no. Yeah, he wants me back on the bed. I'm going to get there.
Angry with her. He yells at her. He reaches for some.
And also, if she had clipped her dew claw, her getting back into bed as quickly as she did wouldn't make sense. Like it just doesn't make sense for her to get into place so quickly. Like, unless you were doing something to get that response. Because if she clipped her dew claw, I think she would probably yelp and maybe just stand there for a second, maybe hold her paw up or something.
Something.
She immediately walked on it and then laid down.
Then he does this action that he's been seen to do many, many times in the same circumstance, which a lot of people would say it's fair to make the assumption that he is using a shock collar on her. He is shocking her. That is what I think allegedly is happening. It's my opinion. And I think that there is a lot of visual, circumstantial evidence that would understandably lead people to that conclusion.
Wait, I just realized. Is this an old clip or is this a new clip? Is this an old clip? Is this Christmas time? Or is he now putting up Christmas decorations? Because that wouldn't make any sense.
I don't think people are like part of some big far right-wing conspiracy and everyone is a part of like the Israeli propaganda machine.
Yeah, and wouldn't she continue crying, I can't keep dissecting this clip, I'm going to go insane. It's so crazy because any angle that anybody tries to like use, you can almost argue it from that perspective as well and argue why Hasan did something wrong and they'll still just deny it and go, no, but he's the good guy.
Machine and everyone's trying to fuck up his son.
Like, yeah, she did. Okay, she clipped her dew claw. Why didn't he go check on her then? He did an hour later. Why? I would in the moment. Yo, what happened? Like, you okay? Nah, you're being a baby. Damn, how's chat gonna feel about that? Damn. Let me go check on her. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he called her a baby. He literally did not care. Even if she did just clip her dew claw on the bed. Like, come on, man.
Life because he is Palestine. He is the Palestinian movement. Like, I don't think that's the case here at all.
Christmas 2024, I believe, shows he's been using the collar for a while, true. And not just that he's been using the collar for a while, but he finds it necessary to hide the remote. If it was just a vibration collar, who gives a shit if somebody sees the remote? Just leave it out. But it's because he knows people can dissect it if they just see the most tiny little thing. What's this, huh? What's this? Who knows? Who knows what this is? Or somebody does. Who's this? Chat only cares if she's in place.
I think that people are genuinely seeing a problem, an issue with the way that he's been, and he is lying about it. At first it was, oh, she must have hit her dew claw. Well, why wouldn't you go check on your dog when she's yelped out in pain? You're saying that she's being dramatic or that she's being a baby. Check on her first and then maybe come to the assumption that she's being a bit of a baby. I don't know. Calling her spoiled? It's insane. Saying that she's spoiled because his mum let her roam around and now he's like, actually, she is allowed to roam around freely. No, she's not. She doesn't fucking look like it. There's so many videos online of him trying to get her to go back to her place and getting angry with her for not obeying him. And the more evidence that is mounting is the shocking video of him in 2019.
I was raised by a narcissist who would literally try and deny video recordings I had of her yelling at me. They truly will lie to the very end. I just really, it's like I almost want to get inside of a narcissist's brain. I want to understand how you can be so deluded, because it's like, have you truly deluded yourself? Like, you know what I mean? Like, are you completely that lost where you truly believe it now? Because like, if you haven't, like, because I agree with you. Like, I've seen the same thing happen where you see like you show someone something on video and they're like, well, no. Well, no. Sometimes you might admit to an aspect of it, but then argue that it's because of some other reason, and try and flip it on you. And it truly is just like, you can't argue with me my own perspective. You can't argue my perspective on something. Like, you can't argue against my perspective, but you also can't like argue a video that I can just look at multiple times and show other people and get their perspective as well. You should, I guess you can, but you shouldn't be allowed to.
Pulling his dog by its tail to keep it to get it to stay. That is a shocking video. That is, it's behavior that, quite frankly, is smacked out of you when you're a kid. You learn at a very young age not to pull dogs by their tails, or any animal for that matter. Don't pull them by their tails. It's abusive, it's horrible, and it's mean. And yet there's a video of him doing this, getting really angry at his dog, saying he wants to kill it and he's going to kill it in front of everyone. And you could say like, oh, you know, he's just angry in the moment and he's just saying stuff. And it's like, well, to be honest, I wouldn't joke about killing my animals. I wouldn't, even if I'm angry in the moment, I'm not going to take my anger out on my animals because
See, I do it in the most comedic way. I'm like, oh, like where my cat scratches the shit out of me and leaves a scar on me, and I'm like, ugh. I'm like, stop it, I'm gonna throw you across the universe. Stop it before I launch you into outer space. You know, you say stuff like that.
At the end of the day, they're animals. They have the brain of like a toddler. I'm not going to get angry if one of them pisses somewhere on the wall because they're animals. You know, we're trying to coexist as different species. There's going to be times where we're not like really understanding one another. There are going to be times where maybe they're pissed off at me and they go piss on a wall somewhere, and yeah, it fucking sucks and I don't like it. I don't like it. Actually, she's well behaved. She doesn't do that. Bella, you're well behaved. See, she's staying in her place. just like I taught her to. And listen, it's just how it is. Animals will do animal things because they're animals. They are not smart, big-brained. Well, they're smart in their own way, you know? Not to say that they're all dumb. But at the end of the day, we have to think for them as the human, the owner. And quite frankly, taking your anger out on an animal in the heat of the moment is really cringe. It's gross. It's honestly an ick, actually.
It is hashtag cringe. It is hashtag ick.
When I see people taking their anger out on their animals, it's an ick for me. That is something that...
Captain abuses cats confirmed. My cat abuses me. Honestly, I heal up pretty alright. My fiance has a really bad scar from him. They're more on this side. You can see just like... I just have like a bunch like lined up from one just whole claw getting me. A whole hand, a whole paw getting me. This arm isn't as bad. They've healed up alright, actually. I'm just glad he hasn't gotten me on the face. He's nicked me on the face, but never too bad.
That I see and I go, oh, you do not have a good handle on your emotions whatsoever. And that's another thing that I see constantly with this Hasan guy. He has extreme anger issues, in my opinion, and I think that he is quite used to taking his anger out on the people around him. And there are many clips to showcase his anger issues. There are many clips, and he's even said so himself. So, do what you will with that information. And now, because I am convinced that I don't think this man should own dogs. I think he's a bad dog owner. I think that, sure, he has a lot of money, he has the means to give these dogs a good life, but from this clip alone, I was already officially done with Hasan. I'm never going to watch him. I'm never going to like him as a human being. But this video...
Villain arc starts with a face scar from a cat. It has to be across the eye, though. It needs to be that cool one that goes right across your eye.
Video was really the icing on the cake for me. Now, I have to give you a warning. This is actually pretty disturbing to watch. It's
My dog is snoring away on a beanbag 3 times her size right in front of the bay window. She's a princess. As she should be.
Disgusting. It might be triggering if you're sensitive to, you know, people who are very angry.
I'm obsessed with this one cat right now. His name's Todd. He's awesome. There's this cat... Oh shit. His name's Mr. Smile? Is that it? Mr. Smile. Cat. There he is. Mr. SSS Smile. He's a legend. Can't play the music, but you can imagine. They all want to be with the king. He's just locked in. He's on the phone. He's one of my current favorites. Dripped out.
People who are threatening, you know, dog abuse in general, because in my opinion, this is dog abuse. Now, we're gonna watch the full 18 seconds. I don't know how much context you're gonna need for this one, because it really does just speak for itself. So let's have a watch of this, shall we?
Come here. Hey. Motherfucker, come here.
It genuinely makes me cringe watching that video, because like you could literally break your dog's tail doing that. Like, you can really damage them doing that. Like, he pulled so hard, and this is a big dog.
Stay. No, come here.
And literally, the part that pisses me off is the dog clearly just wanted to lay down in the shade.
Hey. Motherfucker, come here. Stay.
He's trying to cool off, so he was standing next to the other guy, and then when he pulls him back, he's like, okay, I want to lay in the shade. He's like, okay. I'm trying to cool off, man. I'm not trying to listen to you right now. Did they just like go on a run or something?
Oh, come here.
Well, that's like the full clip, but before that, he says some stuff about like wanting to kill it and like, you know, being generally very angry. Whatever, right? I could try finding the other clip for that, but at the end of the day, all you really need to see Hasan doing is this. This is his own video. And, you know, I'd never seen this video before. I don't think anyone really talked about it at all.
New clip?
What the fuck? This allegedly happened in 2019. I don't know how old Hasan was in 2019, but I'm going to assume he was at least like 30. Was he at least like 30? Maybe he was like 28 years old.
29, something like that.
I don't know, man. I really don't think I've ever
Yeah, it would have been like 28.
pulled a dog's tail in my life. Genuinely. I think maybe they don't.
Oh, she was talking about that clip. Yeah, people were talking about that clip, and then I genuinely do think that's probably the worst clip out of all of them. Like, yes, I think that the other clips just show a bad training regimen. Like, he doesn't have the correct like ability to train. But I do think that that one actually shows like a level of like that could genuinely be considered some kind of abuse. Like, it's not a I won't say that it's like a repeated abuse. You don't know if he's doing it constantly, but in that moment, someone like he should take the correction of like, hey, that's not good, and don't do that.
Happened once when I was like 4 years old, maybe. This is a grown-ass man who has access to all the resources in the world to train his dog, and yet he's getting so angry at this dog for
My BF is obsessed with bulldogs. I love bulldogs. Bulldogs are actually really cute. See, I like bulldogs, and I actually do. I love me a good pit bull. Pit bull's got a special place in my heart because my grandparents and my tío and tía had pit bulls. So you know, we've always loved pit bulls and beagles. I got a special place for beagles too because I had a beagle when I was younger. Good guy. But yeah. Trying to think of what other dogs I like. I like Rottweilers. Haven't met too many Rottweilers, but I think Rottweilers are very beautiful. They got good coloring. My grandma, one of them's passed away, but my grandma had these two dogs that were meant to be min pins. For anyone who doesn't know, that is a miniature pinscher. Small. I'll pull up a picture. Sure. It was supposed to be a min pin mixed with a chihuahua. So it was supposed to be a min pin mixed with a chihuahua. So they were supposed to stay like this small. They were supposed to stay pretty small. My grandma's ended up looking like straight up Dobermans. I spelled pinscher really, or I did spell it right. Did add the S. But they ended up looking like straight Dobermans. One had like a blonder fur and one had a redder fur, but the one with the red fur, she has a like long hair coming under her ears, which is like if it was like a Chihuahua or something. Like if she was like part Chihuahua, had like long hair, and then long hair like in her pits, and then she has extra toes in the back. She has 4 extra toes, 2 on each foot, 2 on each back foot, or yeah, 2 on each back foot. We call her the devil dog. She's good though. Her real name is Ginger. Their names were Marianne and Ginger. Good stuff. Marianne passed away. She's the one that she's you know, all dogs go to heaven. Her passing was probably due time though, because she had a big tumor that was just a benign tumor for a long time that they didn't have the money to get rid of, so she was kind of I think towards the end she was a little bit, you know, slower, and it was probably weighing on her a bit. Blessed be to the pups.
I don't even know what reason he's getting angry at it for. It's not staying in the place he wants it to. Wow. It's almost like Hasan has some sort of issue with authority. He has some sort of issue with being disobeyed. It's almost like we're going through this same issue with Kaya right now. And, you know, you have to wonder, does that display a pattern of behavior? I certainly would say that it does.
A Chihuahua named Tony. I love that. I love when people give dogs normal names.
Anyway, here's another thing that you almost hear Hasan say. It's a
Daisy is the dog I wanted since I was a kid. See, I love simple names like Daisy or, you know, there's some classic good names. But I'll love, like, if I just meet someone, like, this is my dog, Chuck. This is my... It's just so funny to me. This is my dog, Tom. This is my dog. This is Tony. Hey, Tony, say what's up. Row.
Right now. And, you know, you have to wonder, does that display a pattern of behavior? I certainly would say that it does. Anyway... here's another thing that you almost hear Hasan say, it's a shock collar. Now, I don't know if this one in this case is a shock collar, but let's have a look at this.
Yeah. A dog named Norman's perfect. Name him full name Norman Osborn. He is the Green Goblin. But you just call him Norm.
Oh great, it's muted.
I think her
Let's have a
collar's
look
too,
at this.
and now it's mainstream. I love her. I think her collar's too tight.
Yeah, well, it's here we can.
It's a what?
It's you have to. Yeah.
Cat named Frank goes hard. Cat named Frank, dog named Ronald. First dog was named Clarence. Clarence is a great dog name. I always wanted a dog named Susan because it seems so funny to be like, come on, Susan, go potty. Go on, Rachel, go. Rebecca, it's time to use the restroom, please. Oh, Dad, Monica's shit in the house again. Girl names make it a little bit funnier when they're girl dogs. Because boy dogs, it just makes them seem like they're just like... It just makes them sound like a dude. Like just some dude. Like, oh yeah, what's his job? Mom. Tabitha bit me.
I have to be able to get 2 fingers, and I couldn't even get 1. I think you're choking her.
She's like...
An Australian shepherd named Sydney. Was it named Sydney because of Australia? I saw on the Reddit that this woman has taken back what she said about the collar. How convenient. Why would you take it back? That doesn't make any sense. You made him in the moment. You know what? Tighten that shit back up. I take it back. What are you talking about? You in the moment made him loosen the collar.
It's she has a lot of neck meat.
That's interesting, actually. What is he going to do?
Here we can.
It's you have to be able to get 2 fingers.
He's taking something off the collar, I think.
1. I think
he might be loosening it.
She's like,
but then
it's she has a lot of.
He puts something away. You can hear it. You can hear him put something away. So
I can even to be able to get. It's you have to.
He's got something in this hand over here that he very secretly puts away.
You have to be able to get 2 fingers.
So what are his hands doing over here to take off? You can see him loosening it over here, which is good, I guess. But then that releases something into that other hand, which he then takes his arm over here.
It's she has a lot of.
And
that is interesting. But I just don't know what it would have been, because I don't think that it's like detachable. It could have maybe been like, he said that there's like lights and stuff attached too. Wasn't that his claim? Or is that part of the collar itself? Because is the actual, like, can you take the thing off of just the like strap?
And you hear that. Now, does he take the collar off? I don't know. I don't think so, but I think that's pretty suspicious, don't you think? And also the fact that someone who loves their animal more than most humans has a collar on that you can't even put 2 fingers past or 2 fingers in. How would he not know that? He knows that. She says she thinks he's choking her. And that's not dramatic at all. Collars, you have to be really careful with collars. And, you know, like our cats, they don't wear collars anymore because they're all completely indoors. They have a catio, but they can't leave the house. They can't leave the premises at all. So they don't wear collars, thankfully. But when they did have collars, it was always those release ones that, like, if too much pressure...
The shocking portion is detachable. They showed it on Dan Saltman's stream. Okay. Okay, that does make it a little bit more interesting. Because he did definitely put something down. To do that right in front of somebody is kind of crazy, though, too.
They'd come off. And also always, you know, 2 fingers is the same concept for fucking cats. So it's quite astonishing to me that someone who loves their dog so much would have a collar that's so tight. And the only reason you'd have a collar that is that tight is because you need the prongs to touch the neck. That's my thinking of it, but it could be wrong. I don't think I'm wrong, though. Now get this. Now he's highlighting a comment that this person said. The fixation on discrediting you, rather than engaging with ideas, feels almost like a subconscious admission that our politics hold moral weight. If you can't argue against leftist principles on their merits, you attack the character of the person embodying them. It's less a refutation of leftism than an inadvertent endorsement of how persuasive it's become, Limfao. You see, it's funny because this is exactly what Hasan engages in with his people who criticize him, and we've said it multiple times during this video, and I'm going to keep saying it. He attacks the people who hold these critiques of him, and in a way, yeah, it's like a subconscious admission that those people who criticize Hasan...
I'm confused about this Dan Saltman. I hear different things about him. Who is he exactly? I honestly don't know too much about him, but from what I know is this. He used to be friends with Hasan the same way that Destiny was. Content collaborators that eventually splintered in the same way that he did with Destiny, and Destiny and Dan Saltman became friends. There have been leaks and stuff that I've seen that I haven't been able to corroborate, that people say that Dan Saltman has spoken in Jewish supremacist ways and in racist ways, and there are clips of him talking about that it's okay for white people to use the N-word, and he doesn't care, and on his podcast with Destiny, using it pretty liberally and not acting like it shouldn't matter. It's really dumb. But I think that generally he seems to have a decent perspective, because the one thing like I've said before, I used to watch Destiny, and I would disagree with certain things that Destiny would say and certain ways that Destiny would act, and I genuinely thought that Dan Saltman on their podcast together would at times give more pushback to Destiny that you wouldn't see from other people that Destiny would collaborate with. But again, I also don't know much about him because I wasn't even I watched Destiny, but I wasn't a super invested fan or something. I just watched certain things that I found interesting. He seems way more normal than Hasan and Destiny. I'm pretty sure he has a wife and kids. Don't mean to dox him or anything. I think he's talked about it though. I think that, yeah, it sounds like he has a bad taste in friends. He definitely has some perspectives that need to be talked about, need to be reworked, rethought. But I do think that he's generally on a even keeled, or whatever you'd like to say. Yeah, death's still a debate, bro, which I think is probably his most heinous crime. We'll never forgive you for being a debate, bro.
He is subconsciously thinking oh shit, these people actually have some good points against me. I'm going to attack their character. Because if I can attack their character, then guess what?
And if you want a little bit of lore, Dan Saltman is the guy that Hasan was talking to when he talked about the streets running with capitalist bloods. I love that he says it in the plural, bloods. Capitalist bloods. Because yeah, he was talking to Dan Saltman in that instance though, because Dan Saltman is a landlord who owns like multiple properties, I'm pretty sure. Because like I said, I don't know the ins and outs, the intricacies. I just have a weird brain where I sponge up certain information. And that is one thing I just remembered, is that I think he owns properties and is a landlord. So hate him for that too.
No one's going to watch their videos, no one's going to look at them. My fan base is going to stay in their little bubble, and I'm just going to keep making it out like these people are like the spawn of Satan. Therefore, I am invulnerable to criticism. People are not criticizing Hasan for the Kaya stuff because they think that his politics, they're so strong, his moral weight of like all of...
I think Ethan has texted him in the past, but I don't think if he'd say they're friends. I don't know. Ethan, in the last podcast, said that when Ryan brought up Dan Saltman, he said he talked to Dan and Dan was confused about it. I think that they talk. This is completely a speculation, but Dan Saltman is also the owner of what is it called? The Redact.dev. Is that it? Redact.dev, the sponsor of the button. He is the founder and owner of that company. So they're definitely in communications. Has he cut ties with Destiny? Because I did know that they were like buddy and had a podcast together and everything. But has he officially cut ties? The woman on the podcast is super funny. She's from the I've Had a Podcast. She didn't take back her comments on the caller. What the fuck are people talking about? She didn't? Okay. I guess I'll have to check it out for myself. I saw that she talked to Taylor Lorenz, but I'll look into it. But we're almost through this. Let's keep going. People hold that against him, but I don't think he knew everything about Destiny. That's true too. Like I said, he has a family, I'm pretty sure, so I think that he is at least more stable than Destiny and Hasan. You gotta expect that people that have like functional families, and I don't mean that in like saying that Hasan and Destiny are dysfunctional. I'm just saying that they have a family unit that isn't like I guess I am saying that about Destiny in some way. He does live in a different state from his son just to stream online. He acted as if he moved to Miami because he's like, oh, we're gonna go on all the Red Pill podcasts. What now, dog? Yeah, he's got a wife and kid and all that. That means he's a good guy, right? Oh, that's what... Yeah, the button company. Yeah, it's redact.dev. Apparently, I've also heard some people say... Ethan was saying that it's a good service. I've heard some people say that it's not the best. But I don't think any redacted service where you get your stuff taken off is 100%. They always have a bit of error.
Of his good leftist politics, it's too strong. We simply have to attack something else because there's no possible way to attack his moral viewpoints and his politics. Hasan is the movement. No, that is not what's happening here. People are seeing with their own eyes and their own ears. They are hearing, they're seeing things, and they're speaking up about it. The problem with this situation is that Hasan will have you think that you should not believe your own eyes. You should not hear things and listen to what you're hearing. You need to believe what he has to say about it. And it's true, because even with the video that Charlie made, he's like, oh, I wish Charlie would have reached out to me first before making that video. Why? You're the person who is being critiqued in this video. Why would he go to you so that you can just lie blindly to his face? So that you can control the narrative like you always want to do. There's literally no reason for Charlie to go to you when he's making that video about you. Of course you're going to say no, you didn't do it. Of course you're going to want to protect yourself. Like that makes sense.
Oh, you were saying you were making fun of Ethan's list of excuses. I thought you were talking about because I just kind of went like, well, he's a good guy. He's got a wife and kids. Even though that I will admit that isn't. Those two things don't always go together. I'll admit that. But my point is still just that I think that Dan Saltman is probably more reasonable than Destiny or Hasan from what I've seen. My opinion could be swayed if I was showed something else, but it would I'd have to see it. I'd have to look into it myself. Maybe I'll talk to Dan Saltman. Dan, come on, let's have a conversation. Let's dish it out, and we can put shot collars on each other.
Anyone in that situation would try to defend themselves, even if it meant lying.
And also,
I wasn't clear about it, but I think it's sad when someone would live a state away from his son to stream. It's just weird because, like I'm saying, he has the money to where he could fly out to do whatever events or podcasts or anything throughout the week, throughout the months, and then just have his stable living station closer to his son so that he can be in his son's life more proactively. And maybe, we don't know the intricacies of his life. Maybe he texts his son all the time. But I do think that one-on-one interactions with, your parental figures is important. And that's not to say that individuals can't grow up without parents. Some people don't have fathers. Some people don't have mothers. Some people don't have either. Some people can grow up to be amazing, but they're doing that. Like, it's not that they're doing that because they didn't have parents. They're doing that even though they didn't have parents. And I think that's something to remember too.
one of the parts of this training is also supposed to put her, like, we're using the elevated bed, as you guys can see. And one of the things with the elevated bed,
I'm going to be honest. I know she's a big dog. That bed doesn't look big enough for her. It doesn't look comfortable for her at all, but I'm sure it is a lot better to be on that kind of a bed instead of on the floor for her joints. Sure. I think he needs a bigger bed.
is that she has a leash on right now on the elevated bed, so she can't, like, really get off of it.
Honestly, I don't think this bed's too small. I think this was the bigger cot that he had for her. And I think what probably happened is this. As you can tell, dogs are like this. Animals are like this. They like to go into corners and onto the side. She probably likes having her back up against the edge. And Hasan probably kept seeing that and was like, why do I have such a big bed for you? And then got her a smaller one because he knew she'd only use up like a corner side of it. But yeah.
So
the one he has now is definitely smaller than this.
She now knows to sit in place.
Why does he sound like a fucking robot? What is happening?
Yeah, so as you can see, there's a lead here. So she has a collar and a lead on that are keeping her on the bed. I mean, have you ever seen place training done in this kind of a manner? Also training her to sit in the bed for hours on end? Why does she have to be confined to this area for so long? You know? Why is she here? Does she not have... I guess, like, he wants to keep an eye on her so that maybe she doesn't sit on the floor and get hip dysplasia and stuff like that, but I just don't understand why this training is so authoritarian in a way. It's extreme.
That's a good way to put it, honestly. And I will say also, it's weird to have such strict levels of training when you don't even, like, bring her with you. Like you said, you leave her with your mom, and your mom just, like, lets her walk around and do whatever she wants. Maybe that's a lie, but if that's what Hasan's saying, let's just run with that idea. If you are not taking her with you, if you are not making it necessary to keep her training regimen on lock, day in, day out, even when you're not around, then why would you do it when you're there? Because that's not going to train her better. It's going to probably just make her resent you, because when she's around these other people, they don't train her and punish her, give her negative reinforcement.
Extremely, like it's like military drills. She's leashed to the bed. I've never seen anyone train their dog. And you can say, oh, well, you just don't know anyone who's done proper training. Bitch. I have friends who are very good about training their animals and who do it in a very humane way. I think perhaps it takes longer, a little bit longer to get them trained up in that way. Maybe it does. I'm not an expert, but you can do place training without doing all this. I'm telling you, this is like boot camp for the dog. So another very disturbing clip of Hasan getting extremely angry and hitting his desk. Now, I never saw this clip ever. I kind of feel like I've been living under a rock, the fact that I haven't seen a lot of this stuff, but again, I haven't seen this clip up until now, and I was extremely disturbed by him hitting his desk in anger, because once again, like, there's this clear pattern of being intensely angry and having, in my opinion, legitimate anger issues.
Nothing I do is performative. So I'm not going to, for instance,
Sorry, I was wrong to say Jennifer Welch of the I Had It podcast took back her choking comment. She did talk to Taylor Lorenz to say that she believes that Kaya loves Hasan. Okay. We love an honest king. We love somebody who can correct themselves, unlike Hasan. Oh, this is the famous clip. I knew this is the one she was talking about, too. That's the funniest part. I knew this is the clip she was talking about.
use Hasan as an example. I'm not going to talk to a black person like Trihex and say, hey, the N-word, it's always black. What do you think black people...
What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar.
Oh, he's actually mad, too.
Black person like Trihex.
Look at the veins in his forehead start bulging. I guess I never noticed this. Did he slam on his keyboard? Did he actually fucking hit his keyboard for it to do that? He would have had to, right? Bro, you're a psycho.
You think black people...
What a fucking liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude. What a fucking Weasley little liar, dude.
He's turning red as a tomato.
Holy shit, dude.
Excuse me.
Holy fucking shit.
You know, I mean, I'm sure hitting that desk with his fist hurt himself. In a way. I've hit desks before when I've been angry. When I was a teenager, I had anger problems. I hit my desk with my fist one time and it really hurt. It hurt really badly. And so I genuinely think Hasan has anger issues because he's... I mean, does he find himself hurting others either verbally or physically? Yes. Always find yourself feeling angry? Yes. Feel that your anger is out of control? Yes. Frequently regret something you've done or said when you're angry? I don't know that. Notice that small or petty things make you angry? Yes. Getting angry over the fucking internet, cutting out, is a small petty thing. Getting angry at your dog for getting up out of their place and maybe not being like the most perfectly trained little soldier, that is a small petty thing. I'm sorry, but it is. You really don't need to get that angry over it. Getting angry over your dog for not staying in place and pulling them by their tail, which is hurting them, that is your anger out of control. You're physically and verbally assaulting someone else, even if it's a fucking dog. It's still those things. It's still a living being. I mean, guys, I don't know why has no one ever brought this up before? He has anger issues, in my opinion. Hasan also utilizes this fall in line or be publicly shamed method with his chat, and this is something that particularly stuck out to me when I was a fan, is that he'd be covering some sort of situation and I'd be thinking to myself, oh, well, I wonder, I'd think of a question and I'd be like, I wonder if Hasan's missing this part of it. And then someone in chat would bring it up, and then Hasan, of course, brings up their chat history, their chat name, everything about them. And he brings that up on the screen in front of everyone to publicly shame them. And a lot of the time, this is what really disturbed me a lot as well when I was a fan, and I was still deep in the fandom, is I would see that behavior and I'd think, ooh, and If it was someone asking the same question as me, I'd be like, oh, okay, so I guess that was wrong to think. Okay, doesn't matter. Because Hasan would be like, oh, use your fucking head. You're a stupid fucking idiot if you think that. But he would never explain anything in a good way. He would never explain things. He would always treat questions.
Well, it's because some people honestly like that, though. Some people do like content where they can just go like, yeah, get him. Yeah, fucking get that idiot.
As some kind of affront to him, as if it was personally like affecting him, and doing that method of fall in line or be publicly shamed.
I guess I never saw it as this, but I guess she is right, because I always saw it as what I just said, as it's like kind of what people want to see, so of course you're gonna feed into it a little bit, but it's almost like the chicken and the egg. Which came first? Did the audience come because he does this, or does he do this because the audience likes it? Does he overreact to things and bring up chatters because chat likes it?
What are you gonna do? Are you gonna start asking more questions, or are you gonna shut the fuck up and stop asking questions? And that is another part of like his whole methodology that made me start thinking, I don't think I like this guy. I don't think I like his methodology. I don't think I like the way he acts. I think that bringing up people who are asking just very fine questions in not even a mean way, just genuine questions, if you see that as an affront to who you are, I think you got some problems, man. And again, he has fallen in with propaganda, and he distorts the truth to prop up his propositions. And, you know, with his political science degree, he knows the difference between having an inherent bias and being a propagandist. So why does he proudly call himself a propagandist on TV? And he can say, like, oh, I was being kidding. Oh, I was kidding. I was being, as, you know, I'm just, I'm a propagandist. But then at the same time, he's like, I'm just this dumb guy on the internet. Everyone knows that. It's so weird how he wants to be seen as like someone who's doing real life reporting. Like when he was talking to Tim Houthi Chalamet, and he's like, oh, it was a valid reporting. I was being a reporter. I was boots on the ground reporting on this guy. And then he's like, oh, but I'm just a stupid YouTube guy or a Twitch guy. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Which one is it? I would really like to know which one he sincerely thinks he is. I think he wants the clout of being a reporter, but he doesn't want any of the necessary checks and balances that come with that.
Holiday party. The medal is my first Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal. The vial is hull shavings from the first hull cut made during the major overhaul done to the main while I was stationed on her.
He really can't read.
The fluid is the oil that runs through the boat. I don't really have anyone to pass these on to. My daughter is my only child and is autistic. She'll effectively be two her entire life, so I figured these might help the next time MegaChuds accuse you of hating America. Dude, that's awesome.
Sorry about your daughter having autism, though. He's just so overcome with emotion. Wow. That's powerful stuff right there. Holy shit.
Wait, is he actually trying to cry? Is that what he's trying to do?
He's just so overcome with emotion. Wow.
Gotta look in the monitor, make sure it looks real.
That's powerful stuff right there. Holy shit. Holy shit, Hasan's gotten emotional. Wow. Again, like I said, yeah, sure, I'm biased, but I don't think Hasan was really being truthful in this clip. I think he's fake crying, to be honest.
Shireen Abu Akleh murder, again, in the hands of an Israeli sniper that the Israeli government said was actually Palestinians, and Western media immediately disproved that. And then what did the IDF do? What did the IDF do?
I don't know.
When a wonderful voice for good, a Christian woman, a Christian Palestinian, and an American citizen, Shireen Abu Akleh, was murdered as she was on her way.
I don't really know why it's important to say that she's like a wonderful like Christian American woman, but it is very sad about what happened to her. And
I think they do that in media generally because it's meant to show the callousness of the like of the people where it's like if you don't even care about your own people, then how can we like ever expect you to care about anybody else? But I will agree that it's kind of like a vapid point because you should care if anybody dies, if anybody is murdered unjustifiably.
And
I guess murdered implies unjustifiably, but you get what I'm saying. If anyone's killed unjustifiably.
there's been a lot of heartache over this whole conflict, and it's just so much senseless violence, so much senseless just... there really isn't a whole lot you can say about it other than it's just horrible.
To one of these refugee camps. She had a press vest on. She had a press helmet on. She was shot in the neck so that she could be assassinated.
It's terrible.
Okay?
You know, I never thought about this. This is flipped. No? Or is this correct? I can't use his hat to figure it out. Is this a flipped image? Because what is he looking at right now? I feel like the only thing he could be looking at is the monitor. Because I'm just thinking of the way that the podcast layout is. He would technically be... No, this isn't flipped, right? He would be in the far seat, and then Ethan would be in the middle, and then the crew and everybody would be over here. So why would Hasan on this side be looking off to his right? Right after Ethan crying, it was so obvious. I mean, legitimately, it was just like and I said this yesterday, you don't need to cry. Like, it's not like it's necessary in like discussing the things that you're talking about. You can be just as emotionally moving without trying to like use pathos. I'm telling you, I've said it once and I'll say it again. Hasan is like a pathos machine. He's constantly just trying to tug at the heartstrings, but also failing.
This was a major issue. They wanted to do. Sorry, this
emotional.
is really fucked up.
Okay, you know what? Maybe it's not that bad, right?
Yeah, it could be Kyle. We'll give him a benefit of the doubt.
I feel like he's like squeezing his face that way to make it look redder than it actually is.
They went to her funeral.
You know what's interesting is I think if I truly tried, I think I could work up tears. I don't think it's necessarily that hard, especially if you can actually like bring yourself to like to be an empath and feel like what other people are feeling in the moment. But again, it's not necessary always to be empathetic, especially when, because I think generally speaking, I think it's better to be not necessarily clinical, but less emotive for the sake of the people that can't be less emotive, because there are people that are in the midst of chaos and they're not able to accurately and like, you know, calmly address their like perspective, and so it takes the people that are affiliated to kind of be able to present something that's worth hearing. And again, it's not to speak down on anybody that does get emotional and does but I'm talking down specifically on the fakeness of it, because it's unnecessary to actually drive your point home. You could just make a good point, which is, again, this point isn't like it isn't needing of him to cry. It's already a strong and moving point that he's making.
And beat the shit out of people and rip the Palestinian flag.
I don't know. It's
that sniff. That sniff is what gets me.
And rip the Palestinian flag.
Look at that right there. That's a man crying. A man brought to tears.
I don't know. It's like I've legitimately never cried. Listen, I'm a S tier crier. I cry about a lot of stuff, right? I have a very storied history about crying. You know, my parents would probably say I was the most emotional kid that they've ever seen. I am the most sensitive okay, it's bad to say like I'm very sensitive. I mean, I'm just very sensitive to like a lot of stuff. And I've always been someone who cries very easily at a lot of stuff. I don't really know why. It's just who I am, I guess. Yeah, but I can't say I've ever just sat there and been like screwing my eyes like that. Just never. I've never done that.
I mean, it literally looks like he's trying to like force out a single tear. Should we do a video? Should we do a stream one day where I just let chat try and give me videos to try and make me cry? And I'll just watch a bunch of videos. You guys will be crying the whole time and I'll just look like some psychopath watching. But then one will get me and it'll just be like about like a dad teaching his son how to play football or something, and it'll just be something kind of innocuous, and I'll be like, oh my god, you guys don't understand.
And like, I don't know why he's rubbing like his forehead. Again, I think he's rubbing his face to make it look redder than it actually is. I've never done that before. I'm sorry. I've never done that before.
Palestinians can't have a moment of peace in this fucking world. They can't even.
It is incredibly off because he's talked about this stuff before and after this clip and all the time, and he hasn't cried again. Which, I mean, he was just feeling it extra heavy because Ethan was crying. So it was like he felt the energy in the room and the emotion. What's wrong with that?
Mourn the dead. Sorry.
It's like it's so
The sorry too.
unnatural the way that.
Don't be sorry, Hasan. It's okay. It's okay, Hasan. All of the Hasan fans in chat. No, Hasan, it's okay. Oh my god.
The way that you like wipe your face when you've been crying, it's like it's so unnatural, and there isn't even any tears. I think that's some like.
I'm so empathetic. I've cried every time Alex has cried in his videos. I don't cry when Alex cries. I laugh when Alex cries. I don't trust people who don't cry at least once a week, to be honest. I'd be crying. I'd probably get a good 3 in. 3 in a week, I'd say. You know, just a good little tear shedding. Sometimes it's early in the morning. I'll like be scrolling on my phone, wake up, and be like, let's scroll for a minute, and just see something. And just because I've just woken up, like my brain's still in a bit of a haze, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. They always feed you the most sad stuff, either really late at night or early in the morning.
Smidgen of like wetness around his eyes, but
The IDF went in and beat the shit out of the Palestinians.
yeah, so I'll give it to him. I think he's got some wetness in the corners here, but like that is a really dry cry. With the way that his voice is sounding, the cry is so dry. Maybe, who knows, maybe his tear ducts just like don't work properly or something.
That were mourning her at her funeral.
It's sad, but it's also kind of a weird thing for Hasan to cry about. Ethan cried because he identified with the father he identified with the father and his baby. This was a gross death in a situation by the IDF, but one of many. Well, unless Hasan is personally feeling like he could have been the journalist that was killed, it could have been him. But then that's almost like a selfish reason to cry and would also be weird. It does just feel like he was trying to one-up Ethan or like seem on the same level as Ethan or something. Yeah, normalize having emotions. Having emotions is the most strong thing you can do.
Funeral that were holding her casket and ripped the Palestinian flag off of her casket.
To be fair though, like what he's talking about is genuinely super fucked up. I don't know anything else about it. I don't know like the situation, but I mean I'm inclined to believe like what he's saying about it, and it is fucked up. I don't find it hard to believe that the IDF is doing and has done fucked up stuff. I wholeheartedly believe it actually.
How is that allowed? How can that continue? How do you not see that? That's in the West Bank. This is a Christian woman. This is not a Muslim. This is not Hamas. This is a journalist that was beloved. in the Muslim world. And she was assassinated for speaking out.
Is it kind of weird that it looks like he's like kind of smiling while he's doing this? Like, that's, I don't like.
He does just have, it's like, it's just so fake. You can't tell what emotion he's actually feeling because he's trying to push something out that isn't there.
Judging people too much for like how they're acting when they're like emotional and stuff, but it just doesn't seem genuine.
At the time, I thought he felt cornered, and if he didn't cry, it would look bad because Ethan showed actual empathy for Palestinians, and Hasan had just shown anger. Yeah, that's honestly kind of a good point, and that might have been what it was, is that he wanted to seem more empathetic. But again, I think that what he did the point on would almost come off as like a bit selfish if he was genuinely crying, because like from a sympathetic level, maybe you could but I don't know. It was talking about like a journalist specifically, and that's the part that made him cry, not the children dying, not like the other stuff. I don't know. It was just kind of a weird point to cry. Well, lie to, but you get what I'm saying. His voice is off too, trying to make it sound strained when it isn't. What do you mean? This is the hardest thing I've ever had to talk about. I've been dealing with this for a long time. Oh, I just can't. I'm just trying to make a point. I'm sorry. But what are you talking about? His voice sounds fine. Sounds completely normal.
Nothing about it seems genuine.
And trying to shine a light on the...
I smile when I cry sometimes too. During our interview, I was smiling because my memory of my mom actually makes me really happy. I was also ready to ask the wiping question too because I knew it'd kill. Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, is it's... I don't think... But I think it's also the context. Because yeah, like you're saying, it makes sense to have a... what's the word? Solace? Like solace. But that's not necessarily what he's showing here. Mine's more convincing. Thanks.
Atrocities. It's hard to look, it's very hard to hold my composure on this. This is something I've talked about for years and years. But when that kind of ruthlessness, sound like fucking Jordan Peterson when he talks about men. Jesus Christ. When that...
Look at the head scaling here. Look at the head scaling we have here. I know it's because they want to make them generally the same size, and Hasan's quite bigger than Ethan. So it makes Hasan's head look even smaller. But they probably shouldn't be doing it just based off the shoulders. Look, they have the same MacBook, you can tell. It's the same Mac computer. This isn't a Dell. What's a Dell?
Jesus Christ. When that kind of brutality is so normal.
His voice is still very like raggedy. I mean, that's often what happens when you've been crying. It's hard to get your voice to go back to normal, and it takes a while for your voice to return to normal because crying is such a visceral thing that happens to not just like your eyes, but so much of your body, your nervous system, the way you talk.
So normalized when that's the everyday existence of Palestinians in the supposed collaborative project with the Israeli government.
Does Ethan just have tiny shoulders? Snatched shoulders, thank you very much. You can tell his cry is fake because he immediately transitioned into a Jordan Peterson joke. LOL. Yeah, at least Alex, when he was transitioning into his joke, it was topical based upon the questions that he had listed. Hasan's just thinking about how his fake cry sounded like Jordan Peterson.
Oh. That's kind of weird, isn't it? His voice kind of just returned to normal there, didn't it? Hold on, so...
Did it? I was pausing too much. Did it really just stop?
240.
In years. But when that kind of ruthlessness, how wonderful that...
Oh, so from 240 to 330... Suddenly his voice is just the same as it was in his...
I don't know, that's like, what is that, 40 seconds? That's enough time to like kind of gather your composure a bit.
Face is no longer red and splotchy. I tell ya, maybe it's because I'm a white person, but when I cry, my face is splotchy, and it is splotchy and red for a long time. A lot longer than, like, what, a minute? 30 seconds? A lot longer than that. I often have to wash my face with cold water, and even then it doesn't fucking help.
Fake laugher, fake crier, a true sociopath.
I don't know about you, but that's what happens to me. Do you not find that fucking odd?
Kind of brutality is so normal.
Three
normalized
minutes.
when that's the everyday existence of Palestine.
3 minutes, and you can say he cleared his throat, but like clearing your throat really does not help that much.
Social media.
See, everybody's saying that this felt fake in the moment, and I feel like I've been saying, I felt some way about Ryan Beard for a while, but I just never said anything because he had like certain, he had decent perspectives on things. I felt the same way about Hasan. I was off put by Leftovers, didn't watch very much of Leftovers, and I tried to watch Hasan's streams once they first started Leftovers and wasn't able to do it. There was something that was always a little bit off, and I think that we need to call it out more. We ourselves are too afraid of the backlash we might get from the people that, are like, oh, no, come on, why are you being so mean? But it's like genuine opinions. Did anyone think that this cry felt disingenuous? Why would you say that? That's disgusting. I don't know, it just felt weird. Does nobody else think that? Few people would come out of the woodwork. It takes some time, but we might have been able to figure this out a whole lot sooner.
Media and people saying stuff on social media. You have cynical, liberal...
It's like the way that his voice just, it locks in. He's faking it. His face...
How do I feel about you, Rum Tum Tugger? Good person. Upstanding citizen. Never committed a crime a day in your life. But you might. And you should not be crossed. But that's why you make a worthy ally. Yeah, just gotta start calling people out. Just because it's like, not even to say, oh, he's a piece of shit, he's fake crying. In the moment, someone could have just been like, I don't know, it just felt kind of misplaced, like his cry just came out of nowhere. And that wouldn't be as bad.
This is no longer really red, like, at all. I'm telling you, he's rubbing his face to make it look red, to make it look like he's crying. He's scrunching up his eyes to make sure that, like, whatever, like, lubrication his eyes will naturally get is coming to the corners. Like, that's not... It's fake, dude. It's fake news, bro. And then at 340.
That is not humanitarian. It is completely unjustifiable. Completely. There is no...
Normalize being a hater again, but like genuinely just normalize meaningful pushback. Like we should have pushback on like, if we're going to push back on like the perceived opposition, we should also push back on our perceived allies to make sure that we're true allies and have like an understanding of each other's perspectives. We can find a middle ground on the places where we differ. It's like, come on. Yeah, it'll definitely get you called a hater. But that's why it takes someone like me. I'll stand up for the truth.
Palestinians as humans, and they have very successfully...
I mean, the dude lies. What can I fucking say? He has a storied past of lying. To fake cry about an emotional situation, it's like... I don't think you're beating the psychopath allegations, bro. So listen, to conclude this video, listen, you can come take away whatever you want to take away.
You can come... I didn't mean to pause right there. My frame rate just dropped for a second, so I was making sure we're all good. I think we're back now.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't really care. I've just been thinking about this for so long that I'm glad to be finally actually speaking up about it. And, you know, people will say, like, maybe I was a fake fan or whatever. Like, no, I was a full-on Hasan fan for a long time. For a long time, I thought that I was getting informed. I thought that I was choosing the right person to get my information from. And, you know, being in this position where you're like, oh, I don't really have the time to do all this research myself. I don't have the time to do this. I can't do this myself. This is hard. Yeah, researching stuff is a hard thing to do. Of course it is. Doing the right thing is often the hard thing to do. And, you know, I don't suspect many Hasan fans will bother to watch this video because it's just like, again, I get it. It's hard to have people you like be criticized. It's hard to admit to yourself where you may have fallen short, and I think a lot of people will ignore a lot of things just because he is such a big speaker for the Palestinian movement. And all I would say to that is that, guys, it is possible to find new people who are also advocates for Palestine, who are better than this, who are people who are not as psychopathic as this guy. And I'm not trying to make like a hit piece. I'm not trying to make it out to be like, I'm not trying to assassinate Hasan's whole character. I'm not trying to stop Palestinians from being free. I'm just saying how I feel about the matter, and it's really just my opinion at the end of the day. And if you don't agree with me, you don't agree with me. That's fine. I think that I personally, I feel like my Plato allegory of the cave, I feel like it's a pretty strong thing here. I think it's a
that was a great point. That came early in the video, but that was a great point, because I do think that all of Hasan's fans are just, you know, people in the cave looking at shadows on the wall. And no matter how many people come in and tell them that they're just shadows, that it's not real and they're just looking at shadows, they prefer to keep looking at the shadows than come to the light and face it.
pretty strong example of just what has been going on with Hasan and his fans. And I think that, you know, if you watch him because he's entertaining, fine. But I would also say, if you want to continue watching him, just make sure that you fact check him. Make sure that when you hear random shit that he's talking about, go look into it yourself. I think you'll find that there's a lot of resources online for you to do your own studies, to do your own research, buying your own books about these different political movements, about things in history. You know, you don't have to have a political science degree to be well read or to be knowledgeable of the events of the world. You don't need someone to bird feed it into your mouth for you, chew it up and spit it into your mouth. You don't need that. You're a lot stronger than you think you are. You're a lot smarter than you think you are. You just need to start performing the activities that require you to be well informed. Watching a streamer, at the end of the day, it's probably like any political streamer, really. At the end of the day, the best way to be well informed is to do your own research, challenge your own ideas and opinions, talk about these issues with other people, and to not just watch.
Use that introspection. Don't just think about what others are saying. Think about what you're saying.
The same people in the same circle, because you're not broadening your horizons that way, and being careful of who is being mischaracterized, because, again, you could believe all the things that Hasan has to say about his, like, detractors, and you know what? It's okay to go and watch those videos about him, being negative about him. It's okay to do that. It genuinely is. You not watching it is not going to harm that other person. I'm sorry to tell you, it's not going to harm them. It's not going to harm their revenue. And it's not going to harm you either. Genuinely. If you watch videos that critique Hasan.
Shout out Light Jeans, coming back from the No Kings rally.
You're allowed to watch them. You're allowed to watch them and you're allowed to disagree with them. But I think you should hear them out on the points that they're making and the evidence that they provide. And I think it's ridiculous to hand wave everyone off as being, you know, IDF supporters or people who are anti-Palestine, or hand waving them off as, you know, people who are just trying to get revenue and clicks. You think I'm going to get revenue from this video? Fuck no. You think I'm going to get support from this video?
Man, she should have. She was under 1,000, so there's no way she got ad revenue on this. She's at 917 now. Everybody who's in here, go subscribe. Great content. She has some other stuff I might watch. I was thinking I might want to watch her Tibet video, because that could be interesting. But then there's some other stuff too. But yes.
Here, I genuinely think that
Sometimes you just gotta speak your mind.
either people will not watch the video, 5 people will watch it, hey guys, I hope you like the video, and for the most part, I'll probably get like hardcore fans who won't even bother to listen to what I have to say and will just automatically assume that I'm a murdering villain or something, or that like, sorry guys.
Do you usually stream on Saturdays? This is pre-recorded. I'm gonna start trying to stream on Saturdays more. I've been doing my my other streams later in the day. For me right now, you see it's just past 1. So I've been doing them sometimes at like 5, and that doesn't really work. So I'm gonna try and do them more early like this from now on. Probably add in a Tuesday stream too, here and there, but we'll see how that goes.
I'm a woman who has different opinions about Hasan the hunky Hasan and his
Stupid sexy Hasan. Why do all the girls like him?
The shut up bitch was for Hasan. It was actually an accident. It was for Hasan. She's talking. Don't cut her off.
big juicy arms. Sorry guys, I don't like Hasan.
Real stuff. Well, that has been Why I Don't Watch Hasanabi Anymore by thatsokatey. Again, I don't know how to say this. CUWK episode 62. Cuck episode 62. But yeah, that's going to be it for today. I really do appreciate everybody that stopped in. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I do this every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as other streams. I'm going to start adding Tuesday and Saturday streams, like I just said. But yes, we're going to try and keep on adding more things in. Try and get some ad revenue, you know what I mean? That way I can maybe start doing this full time. Really be on that grindstone. It's 10 p.m. for you? Well, that's great. You had the time. But yeah, thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. This is Cap and Quasar, signing off. WVid, dubvid. W stream, thank you.